ROTL One Pride. This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where one pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined by Ryan McCluskey, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the college football podcast, the season 4 finale, which it seems absolutely insane, Ryan, that we've been doing this for 4 years now. It feels like a moment since we started doing the college pod. We had 1 year of the Lions stuff, and then we did this. But yeah, 4 years in the books, just about.
Yeah, so what's that? 120, 130 episodes, probably 300 hours, maybe.
A lot, a lot of work and effort has gone into this. But yeah, absolutely crazy. So, just we want to give a big shout out to all you guys who have listened to us over the years. We've got a small following, but you're very dedicated, and we very much love you all. So yeah, and we'll be back strong. We're going to have our break for the draft because draft fatigue is definitely setting in at this point now, and we're ready to get the picks and do that. But as always, about a month after the draft's done, we will be back, and it will be another college season, and we will be raring to go. We will have recharged our batteries, but we've got one show left to go. And although there's nothing specific on the agenda today, what we're going to do is kind of what we did last week. We're going to go through some college news and bits, talk some draft as well, and we'll see where the evening takes us. So for any of you watching, if you've got any questions or anything, if it's college football related, if it's draft related, whatever, get them in there while you've got us for one last time this year. Some of the things we are going to chat about today. So, College Football Network dropped the strength of schedule lists for next year. So, we're going to take a look at through some of at least a Power Four and see how that goes out. And RIP Florida. I've seen some of these. My God, they are getting railroaded next year. We're going to talk about some of the top returning players for next year. We've obviously we did the quarterbacks, we did the wide receivers, we did the running backs. We're going to take a look on the defensive side of the ball this time. PFF have dropped their lists of all the top graded guys coming back, and we might mention a few others just to have a little push forward to next year. Some of the names you're going to start hearing, just kind of nicely get you in there. And then, as I say, there's a few other bits we're going to go through, and then yeah, we'll do questions and bits like that. Let's just get all the housekeeping out of the way, because at this time of year there is a fair bit of housekeeping to get through. So the Roar Lines UK Discord, if you want in on that, let us know. We will send you a link. Main podcast, we did quarterback prospects for the draft the week just gone. So if you've not checked out that show, then please do so. I know the Lions are not really in the market for one, but it's still fun to chat QB play. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. We really appreciate the backing of you all and supporting our channels. Don't forget we're a part of Lions Nation Unite as well, Herman Moore's project to bring together a whole host of Detroit Lions content creators into one forum to talk everything Detroit Lions. I had a video go up on there yesterday, so if you've not seen that, do go check that out. We're an affiliate on Twitch, monetized on YouTube. We've got a tip jar, so if you want to help us that way, then great. But first and foremost, we just love having you in the building. And I need to give a quick shout out because someone donated on one of the videos earlier. If you just bear with me one moment, I need to step into ours because obviously I want to show love to all the people who do back us on here. So it was Jeff Hurley, our super fan. He dropped us a $9.99 donation on the Walter Nolan video that we did, the tape review. So really appreciate you there, Jeff. Thank you for the backing as always. It means a lot to us. Just in terms of other little bits. And we got the merch, we got the feedback form. So any feedback about the shows, just fill it in, let us know, and yeah, we'll take everything on board. As I just quickly mentioned there, we do have draft prospect tape reviews up on YouTube as well. I've done a few. You got Donovan Izuaku on there, Walter Nolan on there, Ricky White on there. I'll be dropping a few more this week. Just had a lot on, so I'm just trying to finish off a couple of others now. But if you want to find out bit more about these prospects in depth, then check those videos out. It's good stuff. And don't forget, we've got the big draft show coming up in a couple of weeks as well, where we're going to be live all over draft weekend. We've got a ton of guests coming on. It's going to be great fun. So spread the word. Anyone wants to, come, if during the draft, if they've, just watching it at home, they want to come into the little community and share it all with us. We've got lots of great people on. It's good fun to come and spend some time with us over draft weekend. We're putting a lot of work into it. So yeah, just spread the word if you would. Think that is just about everything. Let's just dive down and say hello to the people in the building. I know I've already seen Lisa in there. Hope you are doing well, Lisa. Brent DeWitt is in the building. He goes, "Afternoon, everyone." And yeah, shouting out the channel. Really appreciate that. There, Mike Barker is in the building. Hope you're doing well, Mike. As I say, as the evening goes on, if you have any questions you want to ask us, bearing in mind it is our last show of this season, then yeah, just get them in there. We will be happy to answer anything and everything. Right, we're into everything. We're ready to go. So we're going to drop down into some news, a few little bits first. Let's say the spring transfer window is about to open up in about 7 days. I think we're a week away. That will be open from the 16th to the 25th of April. The last chance for teams to get new players onto their squad and to finalize what they're going to do into next year. So obviously when we're back with season 5, we'll let you know what's happened with that. But yeah, in 1 week's time, the transfer portal opens, so keep an eye. There might be some big names going in there if some spring battles are to be believed. Certainly some big name quarterbacks potentially as well. One quarterback we do want to mention is on the move this week. Probably it feels like for the 50th time in his career, Ryan. Drew Pine has himself a new home, and he's going to be a MAC quarterback next year, hoping to follow in the footsteps of Connor Basilick and revive a career that has gone completely astray. Drew Pine going to the MAC. What do you think?
I'm not surprised at this point in his career. He's been at 4 big schools. He's either lost QB battles, played some snaps, or like I say, he's been in QB battles for most of his career. He's guaranteed the job, so there'll be no one really there to compete with him. He brings a bit of pedigree with him from some of the schools he's been at, and it's a school right now that's kind of dragged itself out of the mud a little bit. They've been fairly competitive in recent years. They're leaving this season on a high. It makes sense for them to go after another veteran QB, just chase that 1 year total prize again, while maybe bed someone in behind him. So yeah, it's his real last chance to make a name for himself and even project himself at all towards what will be most likely his last year in college football. Because I'm pretty sure
24.
he's never been really injured. So I don't think he's ever had a red shirt. So I'm pretty sure he's just gone straight to eligibility.
He's not a medical red shirts. I think you can redshirt your freshman year and you get an
I
extra
don't
one,
think
I
he's ever
think,
used
with
it.
that. No, but I don't think he's ever had a full season either, really. That I don't know if he probably could stretch it. I think he's got 2 years left officially that he
Yeah.
can use, but he will be
I won't be
27.
surprised if he has a really good year.
He'll be 27 by the
Yeah.
time he's
He's
done.
never been
So,
bad. I think he's just made bad decisions where he's gone.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, for Bowling Green, it's a good level pickup
Yeah,
still,
it's a
even
good
for
pickup for
him.
them on paper. And yeah, he's talented.
He is. So we remain to see what happens with him. Who was the, and it was interesting. So I was looking at the Bowling Green situation for any, Lions historians out there. There's another quarterback at Bowling Green. The son of John Kittner is there. He's JT Kittner going into his, what will be his redshirt freshman year. I think he went in there. So if there's any John Kittner fans out there, his kid's in college at the moment. You may see him in a Bowling Green starting jersey next year. Who knows? A couple of other notable transfers went through. Freddie Brock, the Georgia State quarterback, has gone to Oklahoma State. That's your Ollie Gordon replacement right there. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the Cowboys next year. And then we had another interesting team decided its quarterback today, Ryan. And it's interesting because this is a guy who's not had a chance really so far, but the former high 4-star recruit, Rick Collins, who was at LSU for the first couple of years of his career, has not been able to get into the team there. He's transferred out. He landed at Syracuse, and he's got the Syracuse top job for next year. Obviously, it's done wonders for Kyle McCord and potentially his draft stock. And I only know a little about him, but it's very exciting prospect. The arm of his is huge. Like this could be a good pickup for Q's. Obviously, you feel like there would be a drop off after Kyle McCord, but 4-star high level recruit from LSU. Potentially, they got a good replacement there.
Yeah, got big shoes to fill, Cal McCord. But fits the system. It's air raid football. It's indoor passing in a dome. It's we're gonna go lots of like flood deep route concepts. So having a big arm and also having one of those quicker 1.5, 2 second releases is pretty much primary of what they need in a quarterback. So if you can do those things properly, make short to intermediate to deep ball throws, and you can get that ball out quickly before pressure can come, and you can progress your reads pretty well and should do pretty well. The system's built for a QB like that. So you thought, I hope he finds success. Yeah. Comes in with a pedigree, a bit of a reputation behind him as a guy that was just waiting to land that job. But yeah, like I say, Syracuse, they're in good times right now. Like I say, and they you won't want to see them take a step back. So hopefully he's able to keep the gravy train rolling.
Absolutely, we'll see what goes on there. And then the other bit of interesting QB news that comes out is apparently Julian Sayin is really struggling at Ohio State right now, and Lincoln Kienholz, the five-star from 3 years ago, is apparently pushing him potentially for that job next year. And last year's five-star recruit Tavion St. Clair, apparently he's in a distant third and not even close to that job. Think he might go. He's the one I'm looking to go in the portal if he's quarterback three going into year two, when you've got a young Julian saying there and you've got Lincoln Kienholz there who's still got 3 years of eligibility. So we see, but Ohio State, it's not as clear as we thought it was going to be. Julian saying he has a lot of work to do. Anywho, we will talk about spring training, all that when we come back and everything is done and in the books. We're going to move on first today, and we're going to have a chat about strength of schedule. Just looking into next year. Obviously, we deep dive everything before we go into the season, but I thought it was interesting to look at which teams have been dealt the hard hand next year and which ones are maybe going to get an easy ride through it. Because especially in this age of college football, playoff football, and no divisions left, and that if you've got an easy schedule, you can make a championship game. Whereas in previous years, you might not. Hence why we put Texas A&M in the SEC championship game last year because they had a rotten schedule this year. But as I say, College Football Network, they rank the schedule. It's based on result. It's based on a lot of different metrics, but they're usually pretty accurate with what they do. And we'll go through the Power Four conferences pretty much, but just to list out the 10 teams in the country who have apparently got the easiest schedule next year. Number 136 is the Liberty Flames. Their hardest game is apparently on the road at Old Dominion next year. And ODU are a good team, but that's the hardest game on your schedule. No wonder they're at the bottom there. Middle Tennessee are at 135, Toledo at 134, Florida International at 133, Buffalo at 132, Western Kentucky at 131, and then rounding out the bottom 10, you've got New Mexico State, Southern Miss, UTEP, and Akron. So you've pretty much got MAC and CUSA teams in there. But we go up to the top of the slate, and the 10 teams with the hardest schedule this year, obviously a lot will come from the SEC. But we're just going to go right to number one because I feel like this is mean as anything next year. But the team who have the hardest rated schedule in the country, right, is the Florida Gators. Now, obviously, Billy Napier is in a big year there for him. It's the make or break year. He saved his job by the skin of his chin towards the end of last year with how well they finished, and they project to be an incredibly good team coming this year. Obviously, you've got Bow, the young running back, who's a sensation. You've got your quarterback sensation as well, DJ Lagway's going into his sophomore year. You've got a lot of talent on this team, but just listen to this schedule they've got for next year. Right. So obviously they start with a couple of easy ones in the non-cons. They've got USF, they've got Long Island, etc. But going into their main schedule for the year, at LSU, at the Miami Hurricanes, at Texas A&M, at home versus Texas, at home versus Georgia, away at Ole Miss, at home to Tennessee, away at Kentucky. You got Miss State, and then you finish with Florida State. I mean, at LSU, at Miami, at TAMU, at home to Texas, at Ole Miss, at home to Tennessee, neutral site against Georgia. If you're gonna go through that schedule with a winning record, you're gonna potentially win the SEC there. That is a gauntlet. Billy is going to have to. This is make or break because this schedule could kill him very quickly, or it could make him a hero.
Yeah, it's the road schedule for me that's the hard. Like I say, you got to go. Say Death Valley, you got LSU, you got A&M, you got to go to Oxford, Mississippi, Kentucky. Ain't easy on the road, isn't that where Ole Miss lost last year? Wasn't it at Kentucky? It was. Like I say, they're difficult to play, and then a neutral side at Georgia, so you get no. And then yeah, like I say, I love. Like I say, I saw so many flashes from Lagway this year, but he doesn't have the security blanket of having Graham Mertz behind him this year. He's gone, like I say, torn ACL. So he's the guy. And we're going to find out very quickly if he ain't the guy. Like I say, his first year, up and down, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but that was kind of it felt choppy and changing. Also, it felt like the fans were really kind of like say hard on Napier. Like say you had people coming out and defending him, they couldn't play their best football because they were kind of putting out fires in the front office and always felt that was a press release. But yeah, this is the big year. It feels like it's going to be a do or die for Billy. I mean,
I
I'm
mean,
not sure what record would be enough to make sure he's back in 2026.
you would figure I don't know, it'd be a playoff run. What is he in year 4 now? You're gonna want to be banging on the doors of the playoffs. You're certainly gonna need a winning record. But for DJ Lagway, this is the schedule that can catapult you from, been a high star prospect from high school to college to been a high star prospect from college to the draft.
Does well, yeah, he'll be a Heisman contender.
This is a perfect schedule for D. He's had a year. He's embedded in over a year. He got the starts last year. He looked really good. This is if I'm Florida, I'd be licking my lips this year and going, right, let's just go for this and go absolutely crazy. But that is a rotten schedule for Florida next year. Like that could come apart very quickly if things don't go well. But it could also get a lot of great draft picks coming out of that team who can prove themselves this year. So we will see. We'll stay in the SEC. In fact, well, I'll do the top 10 strength of schedules first, and then we'll go into the conferences. So Florida are at number 1, Wisconsin are at 2, UCLA are at 3, Mississippi State are at 4, Arkansas at 5, Notre Dame, weirdly enough, with their schedule at 6, Alabama at 7, Stanford at 8, South Carolina at 9, and Oklahoma at 10. So, as mentioned, a lot of SEC teams in there. But how the SEC breaks down, we'll do it from easiest to strongest. So easiest schedule in the SEC next year belongs to the Missouri Tigers. They start off at Alabama, but then you're on the road to Oklahoma. Your road schedule is Oklahoma, Auburn, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt. That is an eminently schedule you could win out there. You're at home against Alabama, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Miss State. It's you miss Georgia, you miss Tennessee, you miss LSU. That's potential for Missouri to bounce back there. Tennessee are at 15, which again, given they're coming on the second year quarterback, Nico Milieva, that could potentially be a good route out there for them. Georgia are at 14, Ole Miss at 13, Auburn at 12, LSU at 11, Vanderbilt at 10. That's the back half of it. So you look at Tennessee, they've got Georgia at home. They've got Oklahoma at home, Arkansas at home, Vanderbilt at home, which is easy on the road. They got Miss State, Florida, Alabama. You've done well there, but it's worked out well for the big teams in the SEC this year. A lot of them are avoiding playing one another. Georgia, they do play Alabama at home, but again, no LSU on their schedule. They've got to go to Tennessee, but then you get to Ole Miss. Their schedule's better. They're at Georgia, but they're at home to LSU. They've got South Carolina at home, who are probably going to be pretty good this year as well. Your road games at Oklahoma, Kentucky, Miss State, but you've got to deal with the sheer loss of talent this year. But big teams in the SEC you know, they seem to have avoided a lot of the big fixtures this year.
Yeah, which means come end of season, it's going to be really hard for the committee It's going to be really hard to pull them apart. When a lot of them don't play the big teams, then you can't really look at their strength of wins. Like it's going to be really difficult to make a claim for some teams or then use it against other teams. So yeah, a lot of them, like I say, they'll pound their cupcakes for 3 or 4 weeks. Like I say, most of these teams will be 4-0, and then we'll really see what they're at, where they're at this year. Like I say, some of these teams are just overcoming themselves. Like I say, Ole Miss, new receiving core, new quarterback, entirely new defensive line.
But I mean, Lane's got to do something eventually, hasn't he? Like,
Time's running out for Lane Kiffin, yeah.
and I say, so your road schedule for them, you're at Georgia, was fine, but you're at Oklahoma, at Kentucky, at Miss State. You should be winning out most of those. And LSU, Florida, South Carolina, Arkansas at home. Like, you shouldn't be many losses on that record there.
No,
But
that's after Georgia, that's a fairly straightforward, well, what should be a fairly straightforward road trip.
it is, but obviously they lost to Kentucky on the road this year. We've seen what they're like. Going to top 10, Vanderbilt are at 10, Texas A&M are at 9, Texas are at 8, so they've got a slightly harder schedule this year. Excuse me, with Arch Manning. I mean, their road schedule, they're at Georgia, they're at Florida. It's two not easy ones there. Kentucky, we know they're a bit of a slippy, slidey one. The home record's not too bad. Oh, and they got Ohio State as well in the non-cons. So tough record for them there, but they're at home against Texas A&M, Arkansas, Vanderbilt. You know, that should be some manageable wins in there for them. But the road slate, Georgia, Ohio State, and Florida, that's tough for them. You got Kentucky at 7, Oklahoma at 6, South Carolina at 5. Then we've got Alabama at 4, Arkansas at 3, Miss State at 2, and Florida at 1. And interesting schedules here. Bama, number 4, at Georgia. They're at Florida State in the non-cons, at South Carolina, at Missouri. They're on the road for the Iron Bowl. Then you've got Tennessee at home, Oklahoma at home. Obviously, Oklahoma beat them last year. Vandy at home. Vandy beat them last year. That's not easy for Kalen DeBoer in year 2.
No, he's a man under pressure as well. It feels like he's going to be one of those where a bad season and then he might make a bit of a rash decision on him. So that's not easy. Let's say Vanderbilt, it's a hard place to go now. It's a team of expectations. It's a team that expects to come out and compete and be in these games to the very end, if not have a chance to win a lot of them. So it's going to be really difficult there. And then yeah, adding an unpredictable Florida State, I think, because they're a very unknown entity right now. They've had a big turnover at a lot of positions this year. We don't know what we're going to get from the likes of their QB play, which makes them dangerous, makes them hard to prepare for because, like I said, a lot of their big names have gone and they're kind of like say now just trying to plug holes and rebuild their core.
Yeah. The other interesting one here, and again, we talk about quarterbacks with an opportunity to impress this year. South Carolina, Lenoris Sellers. He's in mock drafts for next year's round 1 already. And I mean, the schedule they've got at LSU, at TAMU, at Ole Miss, at Missouri. They got Clemson at home, Alabama at home, and you got Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Vandy as well. But I mean, that's trial by fire for him as well. But he's got
Team
the
has got to do something as
opportunity
well.
to stick a real marker down there. That's his route into the round 1 next year if he wants to.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people putting Lenoris Sellers in their top 10 returning QB lists on X today. And a lot of people either love it or hate it. So he's got as many doubters as he has fans. People just can't buy it. And like I say, yeah, you got Shane Beamer that came in with, like I say, quite a bit of hype and momentum. And it kind of fell away pretty quickly, despite having what would be considered some stars at key positions in his tenure there so far. But it's not accumulated to anything as of yet. And I say so. Don't waste another quarterback.
And you've lost starters at every defensive position to the draft. You've lost your edge, you've lost your 2 DTs, you've lost your 2 linebackers, you've lost your corner,
Corner.
you've lost your safety. I think you've lost at least 7 starters to the draft this year on your defense. But for Sellers, it's a massive opportunity for him. And the other one for Nicholas Harbour, their star wide receiver, the 100. I saw the first ever 2026 mock draft today, and it had the Lions drafting him, and I would be horrified if we did that. He's the track star athlete, but I
Yeah.
mean, he did have a good
6'6",
year for them last year.
245. I'm
Yeah,
still not
he's
convinced he's a receiver, though.
no. He's
I
a straight
think at the
line
next
runner.
level, a lot of people will ask him to play a lot of positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Brent, I've not been ignoring you. It goes, FYI, Anthony, my dark horse Wolverine linebacker Cole Sullivan had a 50-50 week of practice. Underwood and Browder are on fire. Yes, Underwood is apparently doing very well. Brent goes, Gators, according to who? Go, yeah, that is a brutal schedule there. It's College Football Network. They're the rankings I trust for the strength of schedule. They usually do a pretty good job with doing that. Brent goes, what's the Wolverine schedule ranked? Well, we're going through the Power Four one by one, so we'll get to them in a minute. That was the SEC. Bear with me one moment, and we'll go into the Big Ten next, and we'll do that. See where their schedules are ranked up at. So we'll start from the bottom, and there's a ton of teams here. So weirdly enough, and this is big for James Franklin, Ryan. Penn State, 18th, the weakest strength of schedule in the entire conference. Now they've got to go to Ohio State, but apart from that, the road trips are Michigan State, Iowa, and UCLA, and your home ones in conference are Oregon, Indiana, Nebraska, Northwestern, and they've got a nothing burgers on their schedule. Either it's Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova on the non-con circuit. But I mean, if ever there's a year for James Franklin to get it done and to win one, you've got nothing there. You've got Oregon at home, so you can do the job on them at home. You've just got to go to the shoe and try and win there for the first time in forever. But that's incredibly easy for Penn State next year.
Probably weighed pretty big in the decision of Droella to return when he looked at the schedule next year. Like I say, a lot of them, like I said, didn't think he'd crack the first round this year. If he goes out and lights up those teams next year, he'll probably be a shoe-in for the first round, whether or not that's the right decision or not, because next year could be a chaotic, maybe weak QB class that he wants to try and be a premier guy in. This is probably the perfect time to do it. But yeah, you've got both running backs back. You've still got defensive talent all over. You've got them one of the more senior talented QBs in the country. It's
Got one
time
of the
to
best
push
corners
it
in the
up.
nation. Yeah, you've got there's so much there, but for Penn State, this is going to be the biggest opportunity they'll get, and I think it might be the last chance Franklin will get if he can't do anything with this. At 17, so we're doing easiest to hardest. Maryland are at 17. They need a new head coach, but hey ho. Indiana at 16, Kurt Signetti and co. No Michigan, no Ohio State. No USC in there. They're at Penn State, they're at Iowa, at Maryland, and at Purdue. They're at home to Illinois, Michigan State, Wisconsin, and UCLA. Now, the Illinois game's big for the Illinois are fancied to be a big dark horse this year. I've heard a lot of people saying Illinois are going to be the one that surprise everybody, and they come in next at 15. So and we'll stop and talk about these, right? So Illinois next year, the home slate is Ohio State at home, USC at home, Rutgers, Maryland, and Northwestern at home. The away slate for them is Indiana, Wisconsin, Washington, and Purdue in conference. They're at Duke in the non-cons, and they've got a load of nothing burgers as well. But a lot of people fancy the Illini next year, and got Ohio State at home. You've got all the big teams at home. It's in your hands next year. What can Luke Altmaier and co do? But there's a ton of hype around them, and they've got a schedule which will maybe favor them like it did Indiana last year.
Yeah, Luke showed a lot of flashes last year. Big arm, like say one of his first real kind of years, like leading a program, having a full in it. He responded in kind. Good quarterbacks tandem. It's a strong front office. Had some good weapons last year, and now the schedule gods looked potentially smiling down on them. So they need to be one of the teams that really looking at making, like say, that last 14, 15, 16 kind of slot. Like you really do have to think like you've got to go full gung ho and have a crack at that. Because like I
They've
said,
got
9 wins might get you it.
He's a good quarterback, and the entire offensive line's coming back, which is what this based on. They've got the front five in front of him to protect him, and they need a little bit more of a run game. But outside of that, potentially, and the defense is always really good. Nebraska at 14, Minnesota at 13, so mile marker will be happy with
Big year
that.
for Nebraska.
It
Dylan Raiola
is.
needs to bounce back this year.
And it's not easy. You're at Penn State, at Minnesota, who are no pushovers, at Maryland, and at UCLA. You've got USC, Michigan State, Michigan, and Iowa at home. So it's not bad on the grand scheme of things. You can certainly have a winning season out of that, and you certainly should have a winning season. You've got no Illinois, no Ohio State, no Oregon, no Indiana. So you really should be looking up there. As I say, Minnesota at 13, Rutgers at 12, Northwestern at 11, Michigan State are at number 10. And then we go up into the top 10 here. Michigan, Brent at number 9. So they're figured to be about in the middle of, maybe on the upper mid of the schedule last year. So Michigan this year. So on the road, they've got to play Oklahoma in the non-cons, which is not going to be an easy one. You got USC, Michigan State, Nebraska, Maryland, and Northwestern on the road. But then at home, you've got Ohio State in the big game. You've got Wisconsin, Washington, and Purdue. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't seem particularly difficult. You've got to go to the Coliseum. Obviously, you've got to go to Michigan State, but I don't really think they're going to beat them. Nebraska could be tough. And then your home slate, Purdue, Washington, Wisconsin, Ohio State. I don't think that's that difficult a schedule. On paper, obviously, this all changes, but it's a good opportunity for them to bounce back.
Oh yeah, I think that's a good, great schedule. A lot of teams on there. There's no need to fail. Like I say, I've seen Nebraska enough now to realize it in the big games, they fold like a deck of cards. Like I say, they'll be competitive, but they always fall away. The Coliseum ain't that scary, is it? They avoided a scare there last year, and they've got a new QB in the situation. The reports are Bryce is looking shit hot already. And then teams like Purdue, which basically chalk that up now. That's 1-0. You don't even have to turn up on the day. You just turn up and you'll beat them. No disrespect to them, but yeah, they are one of the really struggling teams in the entire FBS. Michigan State, I'd like to think they're going to give them a game this year. I'd like to think that is going to be a competitive outfit that are going to come and really give them a strong tussle.
I feel like Nebraska's that's the barrier. Like at Nebraska, it's tough going to Nebraska, and
And then
they'll have
then Ohio State. The
aspirations.
thing is, Ohio State, three-way
They're going to
QB battle,
struggle.
like I say, it's right now they're whoever's
Yeah.
going to be leading them into the season is firmly up in the air.
They've lost every single starter on the defensive line that made him so dangerous. That defense was old.
Lost their star corner, lost
They've,
their safety, lost their D line,
mm,
lost their
it,
starting right guard, lost
yeah,
both their running backs.
yeah, exactly. So they've
Ibuka,
got. I know they're saying they're scrambling for the spring portal, trying to get more defensive linemen because they just don't.
they have lost a lot this year.
If
That
you're
generational receiving core, apart from Jeremiah Smith, is now gone. He's
true.
like I said, because you've obviously got guys like what is it, Brandon Innes and guys like that.
You've got
But
Carnell Tate,
yeah,
who
they've not
people
lived
are.
up to their expectation yet, did they? They came in as 4 or 5 stars, but now they have to pick up the slack. They've been able to
Mm,
kind of coast until now.
yeah.
That can't happen now. Innes or someone has to step up and help out Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, but I look at that schedule and I see at least a minimum of 9 wins there for Michigan. And then the tough ones, obviously Ohio State will be tough. At Nebraska is going to be tough. And then outside of maybe USC, the Coliseum, possibly, but I think the odds of them getting a 10-win season are high, providing that Bryce Underwood hits the ground or Mikey Keene, whoever they decide is going to do it. Moving into the top ranks of the Big Ten, Oregon are at 8 for their strength of schedule. They've got to go to Penn State and Iowa, which is not going to be easy. And they've got Indiana, USC, and Minnesota at home. So a lot of challenges for them with a lot of teams coming off. A lot of their teams gone to the draft as well. Won't be easy. Washington at 7, USC at 6. It's all the West Coast teams who've got the hard ones. Ohio State schedule is at 5. So Ohio State, right? They're going to go to Michigan. They've got to go to Illinois. They've got Penn State at home. You've got to go to Washington and Wisconsin. You've got Minnesota, Rutgers, UCLA at home. I mean, oh, and you got Texas at home in the non-cons as well. So at Michigan, at Illinois, Penn State, Texas. It's not going to be an easy year for them. Maybe they'll see a little bit of regression this year, potentially.
Yeah. Problem is, I suppose they're allowed to regress.
Hmm. They
this
won
can
a
kind of
natty.
be the year where, yeah,
Could do
it's
whatever you
a
want, can't you?
retooling year, and yeah, they're coming after success. It's USC I'm worried for. I predict now already. Will Lincoln Riley last the year? Will they fire him mid-season? If not, this is Lincoln Riley's final season. He will be fired, whatever happens after the outcome.
So USC schedule, they're at Notre Dame, obviously the
That's
shillelagh
rough.
they
Yeah.
play for. At Oregon, they got Michigan at home. They're at Illinois. They're at Nebraska. You've got Iowa coming to the Coliseum, Michigan State, UCLA, Northwestern, at Purdue. I mean, there's sort of like a soft center in there, but tough road trips to Illinois and Nebraska. Michigan, got to go to Eugene as well. You got to go to South Bend. That road schedule's that's going to make or break him next year.
Yeah. Like I say, they didn't strike me as a team that travelled well last year.
Mm,
And yeah, I don't see it going well from this year either.
nope. Iowa sit at number four.
I was very interested, like I say, with Mark Gronowski.
Yeah,
This is his big chance to prove that he's a legit quarterback for the 2026 draft. Well, he's going to get a chance for a hard schedule.
yes. Penn State, Oregon, Indiana, Michigan State, and Minnesota at home.
See
That's
what he's made
rough.
of.
Rutgers, Nebraska, USC on the road. I mean, yeah, that's tough. That's going to be really tough. But that's a big opportunity for Mark Gronowski. He can kind of do what Curtis Rourke's done this year, shoot himself up into consideration for a draft pick. So hopefully he doesn't have to play through the injury either. Purdue, poor Purdue are at number three. They've got to go to South Bend to play Notre Dame. They've got to go to Michigan. They've got to go to Minnesota. They're playing Illinois at home, Ohio State at home, USC at home, Indiana at home. I mean, the easiest games. I mean, they got Rutgers at home. That's not easy. They get a trip to Northwestern and Washington, but
There's a
oh
chance Purdue
boy,
goes winless in
oh boy.
September. They
The
might
no,
lose every conference game this year.
the non-cons. Yeah, so they got Notre Dame and the non-cons. They got Ball State and Southern Illinois. I mean,
You
yeah,
know they're going to struggle with at least one of them.
Ball State could give them a game potentially.
That roster has been absolutely gutted.
Mm. And then say the top two we've got the Wisconsin Badgers, and then we've got UCLA.
I feel like
Um,
this is going to be the end of the Wisconsin Badgers head coach tenure.
Luke Luke Fickle.
Luke Fickle's gone.
I
It's been
mean,
bad. His tenure so far has been poor.
you want to? Do you know what? So I'll tell you their road schedule next year. Wisconsin,
Didn't they have
Alabama.
the second national? What?
Yeah, yeah, they did. I don't know why UCLA they had second national. I'll have to check that. It might have got been the wrong way around. But listen to this road schedule for Wisconsin next year, right? Alabama, Michigan, Oregon, Indiana, Minnesota. Like Jesus. And then at home, they've got Ohio State, they've got Illinois, they've got Iowa, and then they've got Washington and Maryland. Oh, blimey.
It's going to be a rough year for the Badgers.
That is going to be tough. That is going to be very tough indeed. I mean, Alabama routed them at home last year. Was it like 56 something? Like they absolutely routed them at home. But UCLA have got the hardest schedule in the Big Ten next year, apparently. And again, their schedule, it is tough. You're at Ohio State, you're at USC, you're at Indiana, Michigan State, and Northwestern. Then you got Washington, Maryland, Nebraska, and Penn State at home. You're playing Utah in the non-cons. You're playing New Mexico. You're at UNLV in the non-cons. I get why the non-cons. They fair play to UCLA. They've gone for a tough non-con schedule this year. UNLV knocked off two power teams last time out, and Utah should be a lot better than they were this year. But that will be trial by fire for them.
Yeah, UNLV is it's a banana skin just waiting to happen for any Power Four team this year, especially one that's in a bit of flux like they are.
Absolutely, it is. You got the Big 12 and then the ACC next. We'll quickly go
Utah, I
through.
don't know what to
So
expect. Like I say,
Utah apparently people are priming them for a bounce back, but I'll have to look at the team a bit more and see, excuse me, what is what. But in terms of the Big 12, and this is where you've got to look at your potential playoff rankings next year. The weakest strength of schedule in the Big 12 next year belongs to Texas Tech.
The richest team in college football that just got a star defensive edge rusher, David Bailey from Stanford.
So their away schedule, they're at Arizona State, which is tough. They're at Utah, who are a fallen power, Kansas State, Houston, West Virginia. Then you're at home to BYU, Oklahoma State, UCF, Kansas, and Oregon State as well. I mean, yeah, outside of that Arizona State game, they could run everybody there. I would fancy that now. That's why, because no divisions, right? So by logic, they should be right up there. They could lead the Big 12 by the end of the
Aaron
year.
Morton, like you say, he's a sound quarterback. And they've gone out and just got, yeah, they're just throwing a shed load of money at it. And they've
Yeah,
gone out and got a load of big name players.
they're gonna rip everything there. They
Either
don't.
leave or end up in playoffs, or it'll blow up in their face spectacular, and they're all
Yeah,
gone. Yeah.
yeah. They don't play Baylor. They don't play Colorado. They don't play Iowa State. Like three of the better teams who are going to be this year. So, at 15 you've got UCF. 14 you've got Cincinnati. 13 you've got Arizona. 12 you've got Oklahoma State. Number 11, Arizona State this year. So you're in the bottom half for schedules. Having a quick look at it here. So the road games, Utah, Iowa State, Baylor, and Colorado. My God, that's a gauntlet. That's tough. And then at home to Texas Tech, TCU, Houston, Arizona, West Virginia.
That's not
Uh,
so bad.
the home
Home
slate's good,
game.
but
You got to win all the home games.
that's rough though. Baylor are going to be good. Colorado are always good. Iowa State are still going to be good. Utah, we don't know what. That'll make or break ASU next year. That road slate seems to be you do well on the road, win two or
Yeah.
three of
They
those.
traveled really well this year. They're going to have to do it again.
Mm. Oh God, if that's the 11th strength of schedule, good Lord, I don't know what the ones at the top are like. Kansas State are at 10, BYU are at 9, Kansas at 8, Iowa State at 7. So the Cyclones, the Bectical may get in there. Houston at 6, West Virginia at 5, Utah at 4, Colorado at 3, Baylor at 2, and TCU at 1. So your rivals are getting tough schedules this year. For Colorado, they're away at Utah, Kansas State, TCU, and Houston, which is not easy. Then Arizona, BYU, Iowa State, Arizona State at home. That's a tough schedule for the Buffs in the post-Shador era.
Yeah. It's going to be. We're going to see what the actual solid core depth of that roster's like without the poster boys there. We're going to see how good a coach Deion Sanders is, how good he's recruiting the portal. And like you said, the quarterbacks he's designated to be the next big thing. So yeah, it's going to. I suppose let's say it's one of those where they may take a middle of the road year. No one would probably begrudge him it for losing somewhat what people would say are some transcendent talent.
And then the Baylor Bears. So the Baylor's really we like Baylor for next year, don't we? With the players they've got, but their non-cons are tough. They're going to SMU and they've got Auburn at home for the non-cons. So again, fair play to them, but they're going to play Arizona State at home, Utah at home, Kansas State at home, Houston at home, who've put a lot of money into that program, UCF at home, put a lot of money into that program. You've got to travel to Arizona, to TCU, to Oklahoma State as well, to Cincy. I mean, we'll see if the Bears are legit this year or not. That's a good team, but again, they've got a gauntlet to run and no divisions.
Yeah, they've scheduled some hard non-cons in just to be able to test themselves, I think. I think they've gone out and got them. Also, they're big money games. Like I say, it's a good chance that a lot of people will tune in to watch those kind of games. Yeah, it's one of those years where if you're on top of the game, then it's kind of hard not to look at them getting a Big 12 title berth.
No, absolutely not. And then TCU, and again, we're talking about quarterbacks who can put in Heisman
Yeah, Josh
campaigns next
Hoover,
year.
last
Josh
year's passing
Hoover,
leader.
it was their road schedule: Arizona State, Kansas State, BYU, West Virginia, and Houston. And then at home, oh, they've got to go to North UNC as well on the road. Bill Belichick. I think that's the opening game of the year. No, no, it's not the opening game, but it's a primetime game. And then at home, Baylor, Colorado, Iowa State, and Cincinnati. They've got all the tough teams at home, and then they've got rotten road schedule in there as
There'll be a
well.
lot of shootouts there. It's just going to be what side of them they fall on.
But that could be a Josh Hoover Heisman campaign trail as
Yeah.
well.
Their defense won't be good, but their offense will probably still be electric somehow.
If he throws for 4,000 yards that year
It
against
helps
that
having, like you
level,
say, one of the best coordinators in the league in Lincoln Riley's brother.
it does. So, yeah, we will see with that. And then the last one we're quickly going to do with strength of schedule is the ACC. So, strongest to weakest. 17th weakest schedule in the conference is Wake Forest. 16, you've
Good
got
for them.
Virginia. Yeah, then they need that. They really, really need that. Virginia at 16, Louisville at 15, and Louisville, potentially,
A lot
apparently
of
meant to
people are
be.
annoyed Miller Moss was not a top 10 QB in a lot of these lists today.
Mm,
They like a pocket passer with a big arm.
they do. And you look, so they're at Miami, who are losing Cam Ward, and, so it's Carson Beck territory, at SMU, at Pitt. I mean, SMU losing a ton of talent this year. Pitt weren't that good last year. You got the tough ones at home: Clemson, Boston College, Virginia. It's a good schedule for them. Very good schedule for them potentially. UNC and Bill, they're 14th. Cal are 13th. Virginia Tech are 12th. NC State at number 11. And you got Florida State at number 10. And then going into the top 10 here, you got Georgia Tech at 9, SMU at 8, Duke at 7, Clemson at 6. Now, this is an interesting one because Clemson much fancied this year and one of the more senior teams around. They've got LSU in the non-cons at home. They're at South Carolina in the non-cons. Obviously, that's their big rivalry game there. So that's two big non-con ones there. They're playing Troy and Furman as well, but they're in conference slate. It's tough. They're at Georgia Tech. They're at Louisville. They're at Boston College. At UNC, obviously with Bill there. They've got to face Syracuse at home, Duke at home, SMU at home, and Florida State at home. They are going to get a severe test of their championship credentials. But again, you come out of that with just one or two losses. You're facing two of the SEC's best teams as well. They could be primed to go on a very deep run this year.
Yeah, the SEC. Yeah, SEC losses. The SEC games are big for Cade Klubnik, who probably thinks he's worthy of being first overall. If he has a Heisman campaign, he will be a top 10 draft pick. One of you could be, yeah. Like I said, they could lose both SEC games, and I still would expect them to go on and win the ACC. I still look at them and I just look at the teams they're playing. A lot of them good teams, like I say, some of them got new quarterbacks, big schools. But for me, I just look at the roster as a whole and the coaching. It just for me, it's the most well-rounded. They're loaded at the positions they need to be. They've got edge rushers, they've got receivers, they've got a quarterback. Like I said, they've got the vital positions, they've got bodies in place.
They do indeed. Brent goes, West Virginia is not going to be easy this year. No, they're not. Under Rich Rodriguez, they are going to be a different animal this year. And also a 4.99 super chat from Brent DeWitt. Thank you for that, Brent. He goes, prayers for mile marker. Still no power since the worst ice storm in 100 years. My gopher buddy. I didn't actually realize that. Yeah, prayers up to mile marker. I hope you're well. I thought I'd not seen him around recently. So, yeah, they've had some rotten weather over there. We follow this storm chasing channel over here, and he's been live every day for about a week. It's awful. So hopefully you're all right, mile marker. Hopefully we'll see you back on the streams again soon. Prayers up to everybody who has been affected by the inclement weather over there. Well, we're quickly finishing off the top five of the ACC for strength of schedule. Next year, number 5, you've got the Pitt Panthers. Number 4, you've got the Syracuse Orange. Big year for the Qs. Number 3, you've got the Miami Hurricanes. Number 2, you've got Boston College. And number 1, Rye, you've got poor old Stanford this year. Their home
It really bit
slate.
pause.
So their home slate is Notre Dame, Florida State, Pittsburgh, Boston College, and Cal. And the away slate is they're at Miami of Florida, at SMU, at BYU in a non-con, at UNC, at Virginia. That is not easy. That is it's going to be a tough year for Frank Reich and Stanford. But I mean, hell, if they get to a bowl game with that schedule, that's got to be classed as a win.
Oh yeah, that's brutal schedule. Their roster's been good. There's no confidence in them. Frank Reich is just a plaster on a gaping wound right now. Like they're on life support, and like I said, they've stuck a plaster on it. That's all Frank is, and everyone knows it. They just want to get through this season in one piece. Like I say, every win they get is yeah, it's great. Like I said, there's going to be some ugly, ugly results in there, and they'll like I said, but yeah, they just have to find ways to get it done. They have to stick together, and yeah, it's going to be really difficult for them. And yeah, I'm not sure what position, like how attractive that job will be in a year's time. What will
No.
be left after the spring portal and next year's transfer portal?
It's going to be tough, absolutely for them. You wonder what happens, obviously,
Yeah.
with the
Team I
unstable
want to go to is
situation.
Pitt because they got all our hopes up, didn't they, at 8-0, like Eli Holstein battled injury,
Yeah,
but then he looked, yeah, like I
Hull.
say, he had some dreadful turnovers. He had
He
a
had the
meltdown
injury.
game.
The
He needs to
injury
come
didn't
back strong
help.
because also he's running out of eligibility. He's got to be thinking about, like you say, the 2026, 2027 draft as well. He's been around the block a while now.
Mm. Yeah, Pitt, as I say, they're what, fifth in
They fell
there.
off
So,
badly last year. What were they, 8-0, and then they just collapsed?
I mean, look at the away slate. Notre Dame, Miami, Florida State, Syracuse, West Virginia. I mean, that's tough. They got Louisville coming to their place as well. Boston College coming to their place. We're probably going to be good this year as well, providing they get the offensive line fixed. Yeah, that is just yeah, not easy at all for them. Pitt is oh yeah, that is Pitt's schedule there, and then obviously Syracuse, Fran Brown, year two for him. That's really tough as well. At Notre Dame, at Clemson, at Miami, at Georgia Tech, at SMU. They've got Tennessee in a neutral site game as well. They've got Boston College, they've got UNC, they've got Pitt. That is not an easy schedule for the Orange. They might struggle to redo their efforts from last year. But yeah, Stanford have the hardest one of them all. And then just, they're the four power conferences. The other one we'll mention the independent, the big independent out there, Notre Dame just coming fresh off the natty. They got a lot of holes to fill on their roster. Sixth hardest strength of schedule in the country. Their easiest game is listed against Navy, poor Navy. But for them, they've got to go to the Miami Hurricanes on the road. They've got to go to Arkansas on the road. They've got to go to Boston College on the road. They've got to go to Pitt and Stanford on the road. Then it's Syracuse at home, USC at home, NC State at home, Boise State at home, Purdue at home. Um, I mean, I don't know if that's the sixth worst in the country. Like Purdue, Arkansas, Boise, NC State, USC. I actually think that's a bit. I don't think that's a bad schedule, actually. Tamu at home. I don't know. I would disagree there. I think that's a great schedule for Notre Dame.
Yeah, on paper it's not bad. Like I say, some of those games are against teams. Frankly, you would just expect them to beat. But I've seen a lot of people already putting pressure on CJ Carr. I feel like he might be separating himself, but like I say, he's a brand new quarterback filling in for a team that's just made a natty. Like I say,
Mm.
one of the guys. So yeah, that schedule will only be as hard as the guy under center. I feel like that's going to be the where this team starts and ends. How many
Mm.
different quarterbacks they have to go through, or how many times they chop and change, depending on how well they do. So yeah, that will limit them.
Yeah, it will indeed. Right, that's everything we'll do for strength of schedule for now. Obviously, we go through the schedules as we do the previews for the conference and that. So we will revisit at a later date. Obviously, the spring transfer portals to come, so things can potentially change on there. Other bits I've got up here. So CBS have released their list of who they believe will be the group of five contenders potentially for the one playoff spot next year for the group of five because they're never going to get two, and maybe a potentially interesting list here they've got down right. So, in no particular order. They've got Boise State on this list. Now, yes, they've lost Ashton Jonte and Ahmed Hassanein. But apart from that, that team's pretty much coming back intact. Obviously, Maddox Madsen comes back. You've got a lot of good playmakers on that team. You've just got to find your next running back. And that's the only trouble they might have because when Jonte came into the team, he was running committee with George Halani. So when he took his year as the starter, he'd already had a year where he was a heavy running back two. They had no running back two last year because he took all the carries. So might be interesting to see where they're at there. But they've got Boise State listed in. James Madison are linked in here as well. Obviously, they
Interesting QB battle.
yes, so obviously Bob
Alonzo
Ches
Barnett was one of the best G5 quarterbacks in the country last year, and then they went out and they added in Sloka,
they did.
which was a
Oh,
really odd, interesting place for him to go with a team of an established starter.
yeah, obviously Bob Chesney, it'll be year two for him. Obviously, they had that massive win over North Carolina in the first year. They
Needs to
did
make a
struggle
title
a
game
little
this
bit.
year.
They lost so much talent last year. Like half of it, like most of the D line went to Indiana. You lost your quarterback. You lost a ton of talent last year, so you can understand that. But James Madison are listed here, and I can kind of get behind that. A really surprising one, and Brent's not going to like this in the slightest. But Navy have been listed on here. Obviously, they also had the big start last year before it just kind of came apart at the end and they weren't able to get over the line. But pretty much the entire Navy team's coming back this year. Blake Horvath is returning at quarterback, which is big for them because he can obviously throw the ball as well. They've got a hell of a good running back room there. Heidenreich, I think, is the main running back as well. And then the defense is really good. So they've got Navy in there. They've got Tulane in there as well. Now it's
Post Darian Mensah.
interesting. Darian Mensah and Mackie Hughes both gone. Now they brought in three new quarterbacks. One of them was TJ Finley, who recently got arrested. So I don't know what's going on with him. But John Sumrall, he's the former Troy head coach who won the Sun Belt twice with Troy. They figure he's going to be able to do something with them there. And then they've got UNLV in as well. Obviously, they've got their big new head coach in Dan Mullen there, but they need a new quarterback. They've got Anthony Colandrea there now, the former great freshman quarterback at Virginia. He's gone across, which is a big coup for them. But you've lost Ricky White, you've lost Jackson Woodard, you've lost guys like that. But it's interesting here, right? You've got a couple of guys from the Mountain West. But you've got a couple of teams from the American as well. They feel like the American's going to be good this year. I don't know. Do you think Navy, Tulane, guys like this could crack the group of five contender this year?
Don't know. I really like Navy. Like Blake Horvath last year was worthy of like say being in contention for like a top five finish in the Heisman. It was that good. Like I said, Heidenreich, such a just a smash mouth running back, just bulldozes teams. Their brand of football wins a lot of games. But when they came up to the big games at the end of the year when they really mattered, like you say, you look at Notre Dame, how many times did they give the ball away? Was it eight?
Mhm.
Yeah, like I say, they just fell, they were found wanting. And
Yeah.
I feel, don't get me wrong, I feel like for 7, 8, 9 weeks, Navy will be one of the front runners. But when, like I said,
Mhm.
end of season comes, I feel like they'll struggle. Tulane, I find it hard to make a case for, especially with, like I say, integrating a new quarterback and losing the running backs. That's going to be a big ask. But I do like John Summerall. I thought it was a surprising hire at the time. I say Boise, yeah, Maddox he's a good quarterback. And obviously, like I say, yeah, the running backs that were there were severely stunted behind Jonte, and now they've got a chance to do it. I like the shot at GMU. I can't get behind you, LV guy, because I ain't a Dan Mullen guy. Weird hire. It felt like they were just like he's a big name and he's been out of the game a while, and of course he was going to take the job. It's not
Mm.
like he's got probably like a million offers. Like I say,
Yeah.
I just feel like that's one of those where don't feel like a great fit. They could surprise me, but on paper, I'm not feeling it.
No. I'm with you. I would probably go elsewhere in there. So I can get behind James Madison potentially. Obviously Boise are going to be the team to beat completely
Still got to
there,
think of a
but
team that's not named that I would go all in on.
at this moment in time, the group of five, who would it be? It's not going to be Marshall because they've fallen apart after winning the Sun Belt.
They may
Who
have got the
else was
easiest
the?
schedule in the country, you said, but also they've lost Caden Solar
Hmm,
and Quinn Ewing.
yeah, and I think the schedule might work against them if it's going to be that easy. When your hardest game's at Old Dominion,
Yeah, exactly.
no
Like I said,
disrespect to Ricky
really, but
Ron,
that doesn't help your case at all.
I love Ricky Ron and ODU, but when that's the toughest game on your schedule, that's a bit tough. I mean, I could see Fresno State potentially. I think Fresno are on the verge. They're probably going to take over as the. I know obviously they've lost Mikey Keene, but they got what's his face in the. Oh God, what's his name? I'm going to forget the quarterback now completely. But I feel like Fresno could really make a run. I figure it's going to come from the Sun Belt as well. Louisiana. Actually, I will put Louisiana in there. Michael DeSolmu and his crew really came to life last year, and I don't think they're losing that much to the draft this year. Certainly no top day two picks or anything like that to my knowledge. So I will put Louisiana in there. I don't know if you've got any other names. I mean,
What's the Army
should
QB
I was about
situation
to
like?
say, should I think obviously you've nicked Kanye Udo off them. But I think the Army quarterback's coming back this year. I mean, he should do. And that team was just it was awesome last year. Excuse me, is he coming back? Uh oh no.
Is he out of eligibility? Is he in the military now?
So what we got here? I've got one report here. I didn't think he was oh no, he's gone. He's gone. That's probably why.
Never
So
mind then. That's
I
huge shoes to fill.
see the army defense though will always give him a chance. It will always give him a chance, but none of the apparently according to this, none of the others have really started much there. You've got a senior, a junior, and a sophomore in there, but none of them have really seen action. So
I
who
feel like I've
knows?
always got to Memphis are always there.
You know what? I'll
But
throw
you lost
in,
Rock Taylor, your
yeah,
star receiver, like saying they've lost
your
Seth
Seth
Hennigan,
Hennigan,
but
and you've lost Mario Anderson Jr. and
they
the
lost
running
Brady
back.
White. Like say
Yeah.
they've lost players before, haven't they? They're an incredibly well coached team, full of
You,
talent.
you know what? I will throw Air Force into the conversation as well if we're talking service teams. They had one of the youngest teams in the FBS last year, and we know they're going to get good again eventually. So I think they've had their down year. I think they'll be back with a bang this year. So it'll be Air Force or Navy, I think, out of the teams. But we won't write Army off because of Brett. So there we go. All right, let's move it on. Other bits we've got. So let's go into some of the we're going to talk about some of the returning players today. That's kind of what we were going to do for this show. So obviously we've done quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers, just letting you know about some of the top prospects coming back into the game next year. So we just want to flip it over to the defensive side of the ball and let you know about some of the better defensive talent coming back on the line this year. And we'll start with corners because I don't know about you, right? I'm really excited by the group of corners who are coming back next year. There are so many potential great ones in this list. I'm using PFF here. This is their grading system, but to be honest, I don't disagree with it too much. They have an honorable mention in here before the list goes for Eli Bowen. He's the true freshman out of Oklahoma. He's the one who picked off Jalen Milrow last year on that screen pass, which was absolutely atrocious. He looked at him and threw it at him. He nearly housed it, but there's some good true freshmen on this list, but Eli Bowen is the mention there. But at number 10, so these are cornerbacks who are coming back next year, who you need to keep an ear out for. At 10, we've got Cameron Calhoun of Alabama. Now, he's actually a transfer. He played for Utah last year. Gave up just 48% of his targets on the year. And you know the Utes, they do a fantastic job with their guys. He's 6 foot, 177 pounds. He needs to add a little bit of mass this year, but he's coming from one of the best defensive schemes in college football, and he's got a huge platform to go on this season. Number nine, and one of my personal favorites because it's from a team I love, John Tez Williams from Iowa State. Obviously, double-digit win for the first time in program history this year. The passer rating he allowed this year was 19.6. That's 19.6. As a reference point, if a QB spiked the ball every single play, his net rating is 39.6. He was third amongst all Power 4 corners. He gave up just 37% completions last year, picked off 4 passes as a junior. I mean, let's start off with 2 on the list there, right? This is insane. This is the next big prospect coming out of the Iowa State system there, John Tess Williams. He is the definition of a blanket.
Yeah, and they've got a good pro style defense where their corners are trained in man and zone coverage. Like you say, you've seen TJ Tampa 2 years ago. This year, the talk is all about Darian Porter. Next year, it could be John Williams. So they're kind of, like say, building a trend now of producing these big, strong corners that are great and physical line of scrimmage. They coach him in the right way and they get the right guys in. So yeah, another guy that will be in probably strong day 2 consideration this time of the year. So yeah, becoming a bit of a conveyor belt for them now.
Oh, Iowa State's just pumping out NFL talent at a rate of knots at this moment. This year is going to be fantastic for them. Staying in the Big 12 at number 8 is Jeremiah Wilson, the Houston cornerback. He spent 2 years at Syracuse when he started off, moved to Houston last year for a starting opportunity, and he made the best out of it. He was ninth amongst all cornerbacks in the nation in terms of his ratings last year. Another 4 interceptions, only 46 passer rating given up when targeted. He's an off coverage corner, which they play at Houston. He's on the smaller side. He's 5'10", 185, but we're seeing more of these smaller corners come up into the NFL now because they don't really care about it. At 7, you've got AJ Harris from Penn State. So Penn State, the litany continues. He was a Georgia commit, was there as a true freshman, but they didn't play him. Penn State snapped him up last year, and you know what Penn State do with talent is absolutely incredible. He was also in the top 10 most valuable cornerbacks in the nation. He only allowed 0.76 yards per coverage snap last year. When you want a coverage linebacker, this guy gives you absolutely nothing after the catch whatsoever. He's incredible. Number 6, you've got Malik Muhammad at Texas. Obviously, no Jahdae Barron this year, but he's going to be the one who stands up in his place. This is going to be his junior year. He, over the last 2 years, has been one of the most valuable corners in college football all together. 17 forced incompletions. So he's got his hand in there and forced the ball out, not just broke it up there in the last 2 years. He's only targeted on 12% of his coverage snaps because nobody goes after him. But, you know, we're starting to see here, right, that it's the same programs, Penn State, Texas, but I mean, Malik Muhammad, he's a monster.
Yeah. Like I say, he kind of flew under the radar in recent years because, like I say, it was just an elite secondary in general. But next year, he's going to be the guy, like I said, Jahdae Barron was kind of a guy that was a chess piece and moving around everywhere. So you were always calling his name. But yeah, Malik Muhammad has got a chance to make a name for himself in the class next year. Like I said, because it's a team that is getting rinsed this year of talent. Someone is going to have to, one of these guys that is returning is going to have to make a big name for themselves and step up.
Absolutely. Absolutely is. Moving to the ACC next for the next couple. At number 5, so these are the top 5 corners returning next year. You've got Chandler Rivers from Duke. And for those who like the versatile corners, this is the guy for you. So he was the joint highest graded corner in college football last year. He plays both outside corner and nickel For Duke, he's also an expert blitzer. He was second amongst corners from pressures last year, full stop. Just you ask him to do anything you want, he will do it for you. But Rivers at Duke is huge. And then Clemson, this Clemson defense has so much talent this year. Avian Terrell is the number 4 returning corner.
Is that AJ Terrell's brother?
Yep. AJ
They're related,
Terrell's,
aren't they?
yeah, you got it right away. AJ Terrell's younger brother, he's projected as a first round pick in an NFL draft coming up. Was AJ a first round pick as
Yeah, he
well,
was.
or was he a little bit?
I think he went the
Yeah,
first round to the
so
Falcons.
yeah, so Avion, the younger brother, he's the run defense specialist. He graded at like 92 against the run last year. 3 forced fumbles for him, 14 forced incompletions in 2024 alone. Now, he's a little smaller at 5'11", 180, but I mean, that's perfectly workable with these days. He is the physical. He's like his brother, isn't he? It's just smash mouth. You know, these Clemson guys, they hit you hard and they let you know about it, but he is focusing to be just as good as his big brother.
Yeah, runs in the family there. Clemson like physical corners, like physical secondary. Look at when they had Andrew McCouber. The guy just loved force fumbles. The guy just loved to come and hit guys. RJ Mickens, they pride themselves on getting corners that can play against the run and have got a nose for the ball first and then work on their coverage skills later. You've got to be able to tackle if you're going to play Clemson Tiger football.
Absolutely. Brent, just going back to the Army QB thing goes, I could have told you that, was just listening. Sorry, Brent, I didn't see you there. I have no idea who the next Army QB is. I'm going to be honest. I've no answer. Apparently the sophomore, the rising senior they've got there will do it, but probably go with someone for young. Rich Baldwin's in the building. Hope you are well. Richie goes trade for Hendrickson. Who knows? May still happen for the Lions. We wait and see. In terms of returning corners, though, the top 3, and we've got some really special talents here. Number 3, D'Angelo Pons from Indiana. So he was one of the many transfers over from James Madison with Kurt Signetti. And what a year he had. And this is another smaller guy. He's 5'9", 170 pounds, but he started as a true freshman at James Madison, one of the best corners in the nation there. And last year he graded out at 92 coming up to the Big Ten. I mean, he is special, right? Right? Like you talk about someone who doesn't care about his size and that. D'Angelo Ponce, what he's done in his career, starting as a true freshman at James Madison, coming up to the Big Ten, and immediately being one of the best corners in the Big Ten. Like he's going to be special. The size might put some people off, but he should be drafted high by a team who is corner needy when he's ready.
Yeah, you either love him or you hate him. Like I said, that's purely based off size, not talent. Like I say, you don't have to look at the Lions, like you say, Amik Robertson. Like you say, these small guys that are 5'9", but they're scrappy. They've got good coverage. They play bigger. They're not afraid to go after the bigger guys and hang with them. And then, like I say, they're competent when it comes to wrapping these guys up or laying the big boom when it needs to be done. So yeah, these kind of guys, like I say, they like I said, they're kind of like a wolf and like a Chihuahua's club. And like I said, you can't judge them just off their physical attributes. They may do poorly at the combine. Their pro days may not look good, but in the right system, like I say, there's loads of 5'9" corners in the NFL. Like I say, and a lot of them are doing good stuff. It's a position that has evolved over the years. Size ain't it anymore. Like I say, not
No.
everyone goes after the 6'1", 200-pound corner because a lot of them we've seen in recent years have failed immensely.
And Signetti sends a lot of talent to the NFL. He did at James Madison. They're sending a few guys this year. CJ West's in this year. Mikhail Kamara will be in next year. You know, it's good training. It's good teaching. So
Why
he's
didn't he go this
coming.
year? Would he have not been eligible for this
No,
job?
no, he was a true
This is his third
sophomore
year.
this year. He's going to be a true junior this year. So he could potentially do, depending on what the corner board is like. But he's going to have to go some way to beat in number 2 on this list if he's going to go in the draft against him last year. The one everybody's talking about for the first round next year, Jamard McCoy from Tennessee, transferred in from Oregon State. He is the epitome of a lockdown corner. He graded at 90 last year. He's second amongst returning power 4 corners, had 4 interceptions last year, but it's his game speed that is amazing. So PFF have this game athleticism score metric they use. he scored a 99.9 out of 100 on it. This guy just moves here, there, everywhere. He sticks like glue to everybody he comes up against, and this is consensus maybe cornerback one in the draft next year, Ryan. It's hard to argue with that. When you see him play, he's something very, very special.
Yeah. And I was more impressed the fact that, like I say, he did it at Oregon State when they were bad. He always, you could tell straight away, like you just looked at him like this guy is better than this. This guy should be playing like national championships, not scrapping around in where they are now. Like you say, and then he got his big time move. He'll make the most of it. He's the kind of guy that'll like say have a an elite RAS score and got the talent to match it up. And yeah, first round lock, no doubt. Like you say, he's earned it. He's worked his way up the ladder, and now, like I say, he'll make the most of it this year, and he'll go into next year with plenty of momentum.
Absolutely. He will. But when it comes to number one, he's not going to come in the draft next year because he's only a true sophomore this year. But he's going to be a number one number. He's going to be a top five pick potentially one day. Notre Dame love creating great players. Ryan Leonard Moore, the true sophomore this year, took the world by storm as a true freshman this year. Since PFF has started grading positions and returning classes years ago, there's only one time that a corner has ever a true sophomore, so basically someone who's played their entire true freshman year, has been the top graded returning corner in the game. The only other guy to do it was Derek Stingley Jr. And I mean, I think I remember him
What did
going
he
quite
do?
high in the draft. Yeah, exactly. But Leonard Moore is the name to remember. In terms of wins above average metric for a corner last year, only Travis Hunter and Jahdae Barron were more valuable to their teams in terms of just how good they were. But Notre Dame obviously play a man-heavy scheme, and as a man coverage corner last year, he only allowed 16 catches on 42 targets as a true freshman, and they went after that Notre Dame defense last year. He is going to be something special in a couple of years' time. He's only starting his true sophomore year. Benjamin Morrison's just left. He was gonna be the next big thing. Obviously, injury stopped him at cornerback there. Xavier Watts has just left there as well, but they've got a star who's going to completely eclipse these two as to just how good he's going to be. He's going to be one of the best man coverage corners in years, Ryan.
Yeah. He's had a great cast to learn from as a freshman, like you say, Benjamin Xavier, who were two like elite coverage guys when they were on the field together. They made us part of a special unit and just couldn't get together long. But any day, if you can play man coverage, every man and his dog in the NFL will play, won't you? Even if they play a large amount of zone, it doesn't matter. Like I say, because it's easier for a man corner, like I say, to adapt to moving a little bit zone than a zone corner to learn to be an elite man corner. If you've got man coverage skills, you can fit into any scheme if they'll adapt it to you, or if you can learn on the fly a bit. So yeah, he'll be highly coveted the moment he decides that he's going to make the jump as a pro level. And yeah, he has got the sky's the ceiling for him, really. He's going to have a huge year.
Yeah, absolutely he is. I'm really, really, really looking forward to seeing him and what he's about. But that Notre Dame team is it's never going to be short of guys to watch. So that's the top 10 returning corners for next year. We'll move on to the edges now because Brent's left a name in the comments who is going to be very much talked about this year as potentially a number one overall pick, depending on how his season goes. So we're going to move into the edge room now, and these are the names to keep an eye on for next year. So the honorable mention goes to Joshua Josephs from Tennessee. He's going to be James Pierce Jr.'s replacement. He's just as explosive. If anything, he's probably a bit technically more gifted than James Pierce is as well. Maybe you're going to see him as a first round pick in the future, but he's on the potential list there. But moving into the top 10 here, we got a Michigan man at the top, Derek Moore. One of the most efficient pass rushers in the country last year. 23.1% pass rush win rate for him. It was fourth amongst all edges in the NFL. He graded 87 as a pass rush grade as well, which was sixth in the Big Ten. And obviously, with no Mason Graham, no Kenneth Grant, no Josiah Stewart, all those guys who've come up last year, it's going to be Derek Moore and Rayshawn Benny's year this year. Those are the two names you really need to watch on that Michigan D line. At number nine, still in the Big Ten, you've got Danny Dennis Sutton from Penn State. He's going to be the guy. Now Abdul Carter's gone. He's been very good in his own right. 75 pressures over the last 2 years, and that's second amongst edge players. But obviously, everybody's been focusing on Carter. Dennis Sutton is going to be the guy who takes over that mantle this year, and his, he could be a first round pick potentially as well. And then at eight, you're still in the Big Ten, and this is the guy I love most out of a lot of these guys. Mikhail Kamara from Indiana. Mentioned him a lot last year. He was another one of Kurt Signetti's transfer group from James Madison. Absolutely buried the Sun Belt, but came up last year to the Big Ten. 67 pressures last year, led all FBS edges, and he had 28 combined sacks and quarterback hits, which was the third most in the nation. He is 6'1". He is a little smaller, but he's 265 pounds. He's going to get the Donovan Aziruwaku treatment this year. If people say he's too small, but he's a damn good rusher off the edge. He's got bend. He's got what a lot of these other guys don't have. He will get drafted high, and if he has another good year at Indiana, it could be a first round pick. But the first slate of edges here, right? Very experienced groups up here in the Big Ten with guys who are now going to be able to shine in the absence of some of the elite guys who've just moved up.
Yeah, like I say, a lot of this list is going to be guys that aren't fresh faces. These guys have been around a long time. But the fact is, a lot of them have been rotational pieces. They've been kind of like, say, guys that have just slotted in, come in on certain downs, but now they're going to be expected to pick up a huge slack. They're going to have to be the guy, the face of the franchise now, which is a big ask for a lot of people, not physically, but mentally. Like I say, when you're the guy and people are needing to help take pressure off of you, how do you handle it? Like I say, there's guys here that are supremely talented, and there may be first round talent here. We've just not seen it as of yet. But some of these teams, like I say, they need these guys to step up bigger than ever and replace a huge gaping hole that have got on their lines.
They do, especially Dennis Sutton. It's a big year for him, potentially the next of the laundry list of edges that Penn State send into the league. Moving up now, and we're heading into the SEC now, because of course the SEC is where you get sort of a lot of your talent from. At number seven, you've got Tyreek Sapp out of Florida. He's a former defensive tackle, and they have moved him out to edge last year, like so many of these guys. It's his first year on the edge, and he had a complete breakout year, graded at 91 overall. He's one of the best run-stopping edge players in this draft. He's got a 270-pound-ish frame. He's 6'2", so a little on the small side again, but 13 tackles for loss or no gain, which was fourth amongst Power 4 edges. Let's say graded 90 against the run. And this, Florida team is going to be put under a lot of pressure this year. So he's got a big platform to operate on. At number six, you've got LT Overton out of Alabama. Once a huge recruit to Texas A&M, weirdly enough, and another five-star that they completely ruined. But he went to Alabama last year, and he was one of the best pass rushers in college football last year. He had an 18% pass rush win rate. That was top 30 in the nation. He was very good with his run defense. And again, he's one of those sort of D tackle edge hybrids, the five tech guys, but he's 283 pounds. He's a big mofo, and there's a reason people like him. Pocket collapser there. At number five, then you've got Keldrick Falk from Auburn. So he's been the starting edge for the last 2 seasons at Auburn as a freshman and as a sophomore. Had a so-so freshman year, but his sophomore year last year, he was really good. He had 23 stops on the run game last year, which was eighth amongst power edges, 9 sacks, 45 pressures, both top 20 there for him. And he's only a junior this year with a ton of experience already on the edge. But obviously, the SEC is where we get a lot of these guys from. And maybe not standout guys, first round consideration guys yet, but these guys all have the potential to be up there. And I know a lot has been made of Overton and his size and potentially been the next guy out of the Bama factory.
Yeah, Overton's one of those guys, like I say, that right now came out of high school with a huge name. Then he's been at some big schools, been around some big players. Like I say, right now he has little production, but he's going to be one of those guys. He's probably going to be a tweener, like you say. He's going to be stout in the run. He's going to take his opportunities when rushing the passer. He's always been part of a strong unit, and now he's going to be the kind of guy to got to try and make a name for himself and find that niche, that position that works for him. And on the other side, you've got a kid that's very young, like Keldrick Flunk, like I said, 6'6", 270. That's the kind of frame that NFL GMs go crazy for these days. They covet it. That's kind of like Jordan Birch out of Oregon size, and he's Derek Harmon kind of size, and they're getting them first round whispers. So if he can put together another strong year like that this year, get himself, like say, to the combine with that size and test well, he'll be one of those guys that has always gets lots of top 30 visits and could be one of, like say, the guys that could be strong in next year's class, or if he stays, gets a potential move in the portal if Auburn do terrible again, which we probably will. Like I say, he'll be one of the most highly coveted people in the portal this time, maybe in a year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we get into the top four, well, 4, 3, 2, and 1. This is where the next level difference makers come in. Number 4, you've got Ruben Bain Jr. at Miami. Now, this time last year, he was a star true freshman for that team, and he was ready to break out something huge. But he had a sort of a niggling calf injury last year, which kind of kept him in check. But he's still third in pressures over the last 2 years with 73, despite being partly injured. He's got a huge pass rush win rate. Again, he's 6'3", 275 pounds. Again, a really good frame. But he's good against the run and he's good getting to the passer. I would kind of love him this year if he was available because I don't think there is anyone who's as good as him in both disciples of the game. But hopefully Ruben Bain Jr. makes it big in his junior year and he is expected to declare this year if he has a top one. Now, number 3 is going to be very contentious because a lot of people feel this is the best edge coming back next year. And I think he is the best edge coming back next year. TJ Parker at Clemson. Um, between him and Peter Woods, they've probably got the best D tackle and the best edge in college football next year, full stop. But last year, TJ Parker, 12 sacks, 6 forced fumbles. He's graded above 80 against the run and the pass. 6'3", 265 pounds. He is going to be a top 10 pick next year if he carries on doing what he's doing. But, we talked about the corners forcing turnovers, right? But these Clemson defenders, they hit you hard and they get you out of pocket. And for me, TJ Parker is probably the best edge in college going into next year. And again, 12 sacks, 6 forced fumbles. Like he's a turnover machine, and he is the perfect size for anybody wanting someone at the next level. 6'3", 265. I mean, the world's his oyster this year. And if Clemson are going to do well and he's going to shine, he could be fighting for the number 1 pick next year.
Yeah, he's just a straight out disruptor. He is the most well-rounded edge rusher in college football this year. Like I say, he's got a pass rush arsenal to get to the quarterback, but he's also got that hand-eye coordination. He's got the punching, he's got the ripping, he's got a nose for the ball when he's in the pile. And like I say, when he's at the bottom, he's always looking to not just bring the guy down, but also get the football out. And he's done that with an alarming success rate. So he is one of those guys that you will play. Once you draft him, like I say, he doesn't leave the field. The motor, first, fourth down, he should be out there. Play against the run, can always get better against the run, but he's got the skills right now to get off the field and get the ball back. Everything else will come with experience and time.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. I love him. I think he's going to be great next year. And between him and Woods, that Clemson D line is just going to murder a lot of quarterbacks next year, and those two are going to be responsible for that. So, who makes the top 2 if he doesn't get in there? And you can see why, maybe, but South Carolina, we've talked about all the prospects they're losing this year, but one prospect they gained last year, who was a true freshman, who is already garnering comparisons to a former number one overall pick off the edge out of South Carolina, Jadeveon Clowney. Some say this guy's even better than him. Dylan Stewart, like Nicholas Harbour, one of the most freakish athletes you will ever see in your life, but he has backed it up with the pressure. As a true freshman last year, he had a 92 pass rush grade, tied for sixth amongst all edges in America. 51 quarterback pressures is second amongst returners this year. Now, year two, I mean, last year they just let him go as a pass rusher. You've got to add the run stuff inside to it this year. And with a lot of that South Carolina D line going to the draft, that's going to be, a big ask for him this year, which is why the sophomore year sometimes they take a step back. But right, there's no denying this kid is insanely talented, and if he takes to the run game like he's done to the pass rush game, the stuff with Jadeveon Clowney is warranted. He has that level of potential talent in him.
Oh yeah, he's only 19. He's 6'5". He's 245. He's built in a lab. Came out of high school built like a full-grown man, and he plays like one. And yeah, right now his game is probably very one-dimensional. It's do me a favor, pin your ears back, get after the quarterback. If you don't get him down, at least force him out and hurry. But like you say, some of them teams where they start, like you say, bringing guys in to disrupt him at the line, like you say, the run game, that's where he will want to mature to prove that he's not just a bit of a one-trick pony. That you don't always want that label of, like I say, obviously everyone wants an extreme pass rusher, but it's going to get a lot difficult. The talent, the next level, you're going to have to be able to play and be solid against the run as well. Like I said, Jadeveon Clowney, a great pass rusher, like I say, but I always felt like the run support was probably the knack on his game, and we've seen it as a pro, like I say, where he's struggled to hang around teams and bounce around. So yeah, but yeah, this kid's got more time to learn than anybody.
Yeah, you've got 3 years left potentially. Yeah, you're probably not going to get past your junior year, but who knows? But he's not even the best true freshman edge in the nation, apparently, according to this. And actually, I agree with this. I forgot about this guy, but we talked about him a lot last year. He's out of Texas. He was a true freshman last year. He is again absolutely insanely talented and
Colin?
made a ton of plays. Yes, Colin Simmons out of Texas, former top 15 overall recruit, and somehow he already is, maybe surpassed that. He was the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year winner last year, which is given to the best true freshman in the nation. He had a pressure rate of just under 19%, which was top 15 in the nation. He posted 73 against the run as well, but this guy, he's got the bend, he's got the pass rush arsenal. Like you think he's almost Von Miller-esque in the way that he plays the game. It is like looking at Von Miller 10 years ago when you watch him play. He made some big plays last year. I remember against Alabama, I think there was a pick in that game that he made, but it's hard to deny that if you're going on what he could be, and he's already so advanced at his age, which is crazy. He looks like a seasoned pro. He looks like a senior edge, and he's only just beginning again, like Stewart before him. You just need to shore up your run defense. But if he does that, I mean, another number one overall pick potentially when said and done.
Yeah, and what I like about Simmons is I think he's got more versatility than other guys on this list.
Mhm.
I trust him more in coverage. This is a guy that actually can stand up and you can also drop him into the middle. Like I say, he's the guy who got an interception last year. Like I say, he got a couple of passes defended. He's got them freaky long arms. He's kind of got the range to do everything. So you can put him in the you can put his hand in the dirt. You can also put him in a 2-point stance. You can also just stand him up and have him, and like you say, just be a menace, move him all around. Like I say, a kind of guy we've seen guys like that have come into the league and don't necessarily have a position. They're just disruptive wherever you put them because he's got that in between the size, like 6'4", like say two whatever he's going to play at the NFL, like say 245, 250. We've seen guys like that have made a career out of that, like Isaiah Simmons. Like he's got that kind of build and he might have that kind of athleticism to be an all-round kind of guy. Zayvon Collins and those guys that were taken really high because they could rush the passer, but they could also drop it at coverage.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He does look insane. It was like Harold Perkins a few years ago when he
Yeah.
had
Got a
his
sack against
initial.
Arizona State. He was everywhere in that playoff game. It was a
Yeah,
crucial sack as well.
yeah, absolutely. He can do everything. Like if they don't mess up, he's on a Harold Perkins-esque trajectory, what he was after his first year. He could have been anything and everything that he wanted to be, at LSU screwed him up. Texas, I hope, shouldn't do the same with him, but generally their track record might be a little bit better. So, yeah, Colin Simmons,
Crazy how many guys we just talked about that have only played 1 year.
yeah, the true freshman, like
Freshmen and like
it's.
a redshirt sophomore that we're not even going to hear their name called till at least 2027 at the earliest.
Nope, nope. They've got 2 years to go, these guys do yet, but there'll already be teams in the NFL looking at them going, my Lord, let's make sure we're placed for them when they come out, because those two could cause such a stir next season. Well, in 12 months when teams are starting to look towards the 2027 draft, as you say. I'll do one more group here. So we actually did the DTs on there. We've done the edges. We'll go into the linebacker groups now because I feel like linebacker's been forgotten about a little bit. I don't know. Is it just me or does the linebacker class not seem good in the draft this year? The more I've looked at it, the more I'm a bit meh. It's not been that good. I don't know about you. Do you? You got Carson Schwessinger at the top,
Yeah, he
and
feels
obviously
like
you've
that.
got
You've got
you got Gerard Campbell, but he's an
is
edge.
he a proper
He's
like
not a
yeah.
linebacker.
He's
I
not
feel
really a
like this
Mike
is.
Backer, is he? You've got Chris Paul, you've got Schwesinger, and like so you've got guys like Eugene Sante, proper linebackers.
I don't feel like it's a good class though this year, do you? I think it's a bit of a poor one linebacker
It's going to be a
wise.
reach. It feels like one of those guys where someone takes Carson Schwesinger like top 40.
Oh,
Because
I think Carson Schwessinger might
maybe
go in
even a
round
first
one.
rounder.
I think he might.
I've seen people say like he'll start the game pro comp as like Alexander Lone, which is a pretty good pro comp for a team needing a coverage middle linebacker that can play against the run.
You know, I really shouldn't say this, but I think he looks better than Jack Campbell. At what he does. It's crazy.
Oh, I
I mean,
think yeah, he's more athletic, like you say. He's better side to side. The movement's better. Yeah,
I was watching the game tape. Was who was it? I was watching Minnesota the other day, and he sacked Brosma twice, nearly got him 3 times on the delayed late blitz. He's so good at it, and like he's moving around in coverage. He's all over the place. He's just like a heat-seeking missile. I do think Carson Schwessinger will go in the first round this year, but we'll talk about linebackers coming back this year to see maybe we're going to get some better ones this year. The honorable mention goes to Wade Woodaz out of Clemson, the former safety when he arrived there, but he's moved up to linebacker, one of the better coverage linebackers in this draft, obviously because of his safety history. 5 forced incompletions, 3 interceptions in his last season. So this Clemson defense is just absolutely full this year. 22 pressures as well. He's a good blitzing linebacker. So Wade Woodaz all around there, keep an eye out for him. But at number 10, you've got Rasheem Biles out of Pittsburgh, and I mean, shock horror, Pittsburgh and linebackers and outside linebackers. They're great. This is the unit that picked sixth Kyle McCord 3 times last year, and none of them have even come to the draft. But Rasheem Biles is one of those. This is potentially one of the best linebacker units in the nation with him and his mate, who we're going to mention in a minute. But 215-pound build for him. He's only going to get heavier as well. 5 forced incompletions, so another great coverage linebacker for him, but an absolute ton of tackles last year. 6 sacks, 15 tackles for a loss or no gain, so heavy coming up against the run. It's going to be exciting to see those Pitt linebackers next year. That Pitt defense should have a bounce back. And then you've got Jack Kaiser's replacement at Notre Dame, the main guy here coming through here. So Drake Bowen, now he is a junior this year. So he has he's one of the best tacklers in the nation. Just a 6.3% missed tackle rate for him. It's seventh best amongst every linebacker in the FBS. But he was, according to PFS win above average metric, one of the most valuable linebacker in college football last year, even more so than Jack Kaiser. And he's probably going to get drafted somewhere higher than Jack Kaiser as well. It's just in the blood at Notre Dame, right? But Pittsburgh, Notre Dame, Guy's known for doing this and no difference this year. That pit unit especially is going to be something to behold this year.
Yeah, Drake Bowen, like you say, they've been grooming him ever since they knew Jack Kaiser was going to leave. And like you say, he was a big high school recruit. I think Drake Bowen, like you say, he's a good player. Like you said, rarely misses a tackle. Like you say, he's so rock steady in that, and he's going to be. I'd say he's probably going to have to be one of the most important players this year for them. He's filling that the biggest loss probably in the middle of the field of them. Not just physically, but I'd say as a leader, he's going to have to take on the Kaiser role. He's going to have to be a guy that can kind of do it all. But yeah, in what could be an interesting class next year, he's got a chance to make a big name for himself this year. If he can show up to say, show that he can maybe add a little bit of pass rush, maybe drop into coverage, show a little bit of the turnovers. Because I know the run game and the tackling is sound as. Like I said, I know the leadership skills are there. If you can show the other sides to his game, then yeah, could be a guy that's like saying day two or day three contention next year, like saying follow this quick rise. I've noticed I look at this list, a lot of the scores on this list just don't surprise me when we're talking
No,
about linebackers.
no. And the next one, especially Georgia. I mean, it's a conveyor belt, right? And CJ Allen is potentially he has the potential to be the best of one of the lot of them because again, freakishly athletic. Little spoiler at 6'1", but he's 235. But again, another 7% missed tackle rate in his career. He is absolutely lethal. One of the best run defending linebackers in college football. And it's just coming from a team that bleeds him out. And this guy's going to break Kent's RAS charts when he comes off at linebacker because he's just that damn athletic. But he's got the technique and everything behind it. Potentially another one of these, the next level prospects coming out of Georgia, and might be the highest because KJ Bolden can't declare till 2027.
Yeah. Allen, like I say, he's got hips, he's got speed, he's got footwork, he's got vision, he's got everything that makes him not just an elite athlete, but he makes the game look easy. He also makes it all look like you've sat on the remote at 1.5 times speed. Like I say, he does everything and it looks effortless because he's so silky smooth. Like you say, and he breaks on plays and everything as quick as possible. So yeah, despite what's a fairly slender frame, he doesn't shy away from contact. Like I say, he generates momentum off speed and he doesn't fear the physical side of the game at all. So it's being 6'1", 225. It's a slight build, but it doesn't bother him. He's a very well-rounded guy, and yeah, he's going to be someone that will just athletically will jump off the page this probably time in a year.
Mm. Absolutely, he will. But yeah, the next great Georgia prospect on there, and then KJ Bolden's just going to be better than every single one of them. The rate he's going. The next school, number 7. Again, not surprising, and probably someone who Brad Holmes is going to take a look at in 12 months' time, dependent on what happens with Anzalone and that. Deontay Lawson out of Alabama. Obviously, Jihad Campbell's not going to be there next year. He ain't going to replace Jihad Campbell, and I'm going to tell you who is in a minute because this is a name you'll want to watch out for the next few years. But Deontay Lawson himself is just amazing. He's another great in coverage. 8 forced incompletions since 2023. 56 run defensive stops. It's third amongst all Power 4 returning linebackers. Great technician getting off blocks and being able to, plug those run lanes. He's 6'2", 239. Absolutely perfect, Ryan. We like our guys from there, and he's going to be paired next year. And this is the name you really need to watch out for on this Alabama team. Their new true freshman linebacker, who by all accounts is going to take this job by the scruff of its neck, Justin Hill. He's going to be the new Wolf linebacker in Kalen DeBoer's system, and the Wolf linebacker is the outside linebacker edge hybrid guy, Justin Hill. Him and Deontay Lawson, I think this year are going to be an absolutely formidable pairing for that Crimson Tide defense in the middle, right?
Yeah, Lawson's fantastic in coverage. He is really good moving side to side. He's very comfortable moving back. He's one of those guys that I'm just very comfortable, like saying the ball is snapped. He's always aware of what's around him. He's always looking in the backfield. He's not getting distracted. He's got eye discipline, like you say, which is real hard. Like you say, he doesn't get lost in traffic, and he knows when to jump and break on a route. Like you say, he's very comfortable at just the last second kind of nipping in, getting a hand in there, 6'2", 239. So he's got that good kind of like say inside outside linebacker kind of build. And yeah, he'll be one of the guys that will be leaned on very heavily this year.
Absolutely, he will. Looking forward to seeing him as well. Number six,
This is my favorite linebacker in the country. When he decided to return to college, I was so upset.
Sonny Styles
He should have
from
been in the
Ohio
draft. Oh
State.
God, I'd love him in Detroit.
So I mean, he's the potential, he's like a star linebacker, isn't he? So he used to be a safety. They
He
moved
could
into
be a safety in
linebacker
the
last
NFL.
year. So he's a potential star, as in the position. Not, he could be a star as well, but I mean, I don't even really need to list off the things for him, but it just felt like he was everywhere. Like he was the little buzzsaw on that Ohio State defense last year. Obviously, they had the all-powering defensive line, but it just felt like he was everywhere.
He's
The
massive
second
too.
when you got to the second level of the Ohio State defense, it felt like he was the one there every single time.
75 plays where he was the first contact on the ball carrier.
He's a linebacker. He's
He's a
not meant
linebacker.
to be.
He's 6'4", 230 pounds. He's built like a dreamboat. Like I say, he's the kind of guy that he don't make his comps, but he's got Kyle Hamilton traits
Mm.
because,
I
like I
think
say,
that's
he can
true.
play linebacker and safety, which a lot of guys look at, like Nick Emanwari. They look at Kyle Hamilton. Like I say, these kind of guys that will just do anything. Like I say, they've got interceptions, forced fumbles, but then, like I say, they can lay the wood. Like I say, they're great tacklers. Like I say, and they're just built for this stuff. He's proven this year that he can use every pound of the weight on him and play in the run game. Like I say,
Mm.
and still not lose the speed and the savviness of a safety.
Mhm. I like him as well. Like, it's not a lot of these Ohio State defenders. I'm like, yes, I think they're awesome on him. I do. I think he's going to be absolutely awesome going into this year. And again, if it depends what they do with him, but I'd love to see them try and hybrid him a bit this year and make it work because that will just add even more value to his play. But he just looks the part, and he was one of those. They heard his name mentioned every single. They said to be the first guy to impact the ball so many times on the play just shows how good he is coming up against the run. That is what you want. In terms of the top five linebackers, at number five, you've got the second Pittsburgh linebacker, Kyle Louis. He is another awesome player. Sophomore last year, coming into his junior year, may declare this year. I don't know, but he's played some slot for this Pittsburgh team as well. He's not one of the Savotier Dennis type blitzing linebackers. He's the stand and deliver middle linebacker. 225 pounds again, just the absolute perfect frame for it. This Pittsburgh linebacker group is going to be awesome this year. So just keep an eye really on them all. Number four, a rare trip to the Big 12. We got Austin Romaine, the absolute epitome of a middle linebacker, 6'2", 242 pounds. That's kind of my ideal build for a linebacker. Maybe an inch more, but outside of that, I like them to be heavier. I like them to be chunkier, but it's Kansas State defense. It's mean, it's nasty, it hits you hard, and it comes through their linebackers. And Romaine, he's the engine of this defense, which is so nasty.
Yeah, like you say, he's the kind of guy that he's just integral to everything they want to do. It's not often you say that about a guy. Like you say, a guy with a linebacker building place, like you say, you put him in the slot, hasn't played corner, safety, like say star, rover, jackal, bandit, whatever you want to call it. They don't. These guys kind of they just don't have positions. They're just football guys. You just give them a job. You go ask them to do it. You tell them where to line up when the play starts, and you expect him to go out there. And yeah, he constantly made plays every time. And you'd watch teams, and you're like, "Wow, this pit team's not great," but he would stand out. He would jump out straight away, and you're like, "He's one to watch out for future years." And he's very young.
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of these guys are really, and like I said, with some of the edge rushers, the edge rushers are incredibly young this year, but they are incredibly talented. And then moving into the top three, you've got Whit Weeks at LSU at number three. So he is an actual linebacker. He plays alongside Harold Perkins. I don't know why. It's going to be one of the most confusing switches ever for me, why they moved in there. But Whit Weeks is the actual linebacker here. So he was a sophomore last year, coming into his
Had a
junior
serious injury
year.
though, didn't he? Didn't he? He
He
broke
did.
his leg, didn't he? His brother were there.
He did. It was horrible. But 21 tackles for loss last year, 25 pressures on the quarterback. I mean, he can play the outside linebacker role as well. Obviously, hopefully the injury things, he can have a healthy season. If he is one of the best linebackers in the country. With Weeks is there. And then the top two, you've got Torian York at Texas A&M. He's been a starter for his freshman and sophomore years. Only a three-star recruit when he came out. It's crazy, all these five stars who go to Texas A&M and completely flame out, yet it's the three-star who's done his job right. 59 run defense stops last year, 122 plays with first contact on ball carrier, 6'2", 235. Great with his tackling. Another who's just an absolute beast, and he's got the frame to do it as well. Like I say, it's weird things, right? But a rare success story on this Tamu team. And you would figure if he has a full junior year and the team does well, he'll come up to the draft next year as well and will gain significant interest. Because why the hell not? Don't waste your career at Tamu. Come to the NFL when you can.
Yeah, he's another one that, despite being like say one of the smaller, shorter guys, he's thick, he's strong, excellent tackler, and crazy nose for the ball. Like if you think 75 is plays is a lot with like say first contact of the ball carrier, 122, 50, nearly 50 more. He is consistently the guy that is diagnosing the play quicker, realizing who's got the ball, where they're going to be, and where they're heading, and getting there in time to meet them or at least lower the gain. So he's in huge like sticking plaster of a defense without you take him out and they'd look all at sea. He's an integral part of like saying he just marshals that field, the middle of just he just makes it do his domain. And anything that comes into it, he makes sure he punishes the ball carrier for it.
Mm. Absolutely. And again, this is crazy. The best graded returning corner for this year is a true freshman. The best graded returning edge for this year is a true freshman. The best returning linebacker in the nation this year is a true freshman. And he
It's
plays
crazy.
not far from Colin Simmons on the Texas defense. It's Anthony Hill Jr. He was a high five-star recruit for the Longhorns last year, but due to injuries and that, he got his start as a true freshman right away. And he all round, he did everything last year: run stopping, pass rushing, blitzing, all sorts. Anything. It's not loaded with superstar young talent, which has delivered right off the bat. And you say the build, it's already perfect. And he's not even started his sophomore year yet.
No, like I say, he's one of those guys that's just a rare talent. Just one of those where he's the best in class. Everyone wants him. Not everyone can have him. And he's one of those guys that maybe if not injury, maybe it takes longer for him to find himself on the field. Maybe they didn't have plans to start him at all, but he just capitalized. And then, yeah, once he took that position, he was never really giving it back. And in the big games against the big teams when they needed to sort of stand up, yeah, he made some huge plays. Like I say, he had a crazy interception last year where he just carried half a team with him. And he just looked, yeah, kids built like DK Metcalf playing linebacker. He's got the speed, like I say, he's comfortable going back, going forwards. He can just do absolutely everything. Another guy that will very much be in contention for first overall pick whenever he goes pro.
Yeah, absolutely. Hang on, where were we at? So yeah, that is in the linebacker group. And hell, let's just finish with the safety group. So we've done all the others
I
on
feel like the
defense here.
defensive
So
class next year, I think, is just going to be blow the offensive class out of the water.
yeah, I feel like that as well. And actually, the safety class, and I don't know why I didn't do this first, but and again, safety this year. I've not had a safety that I truly like this year. I always have a safety crush going into drafts, and I don't feel like I've had that this year. But this year could potentially be different. The honorable mention here is Xavier and Wankpa from or Nankpa from Iowa, and I think
I've always liked him. Where's
if
number
he's
one?
if he's an honorable mention, then this just
He's
goes
a
to show
long-term
you
starter.
he is. He's a junior. Sorry, he's a senior this year. He had a bad year last year, but if he plays well this year, he's going to be in consideration for one of the better safeties. He will come to the draft this year. But yeah, Nagpa is the honourable mention. At number 10, you got Bud Clark out of TCU, another who had a bad year last year. I think he was graded as one of the top four
He's one of the
returning
small guys,
safeties
isn't
last year. He was, yeah. But he's coming off about, well, it'd be a bounce back year for him. So we'll see Bud Clark with TCU. Number 9. You've got Isaiah Nokobia from SMU. He's been a 2-year starter for them. He's one of the best graded safeties in college football altogether, but he's a coverage and a run defense. He's an all-round defensive player. He's a redshirt senior. 7 interceptions is most of any returning safety in college this year. This is the guy who is smart. He's instinctual. I mean, you give the lazy comp, but he's Kirby-esque in the way that he plays the game. And this SMU defense, as we've seen, sending talent to the draft this year, it'll send him to the draft probably next year.
Yeah, this is this list is great in general. Like I say, it's good to see as well on this list. You got some lesser known players from lesser known schools. Like I say, Nakobe has been great, and the rise of SMU. It's no real surprise or mystery that these guys were integral to their rapid rise into the limelight and becoming a household name. So yeah, some of these guys are going to do really good stuff this year. And yeah, the safety classes, like I say, in recent years, they feel like they've been really good for the draft, like I say, but next couple of years, like I say, some unknowns, there's a chance for them to capitalize on a bit of recency bias and really put their name in the hat.
Maybe some special ones. Rob Moore of Michigan is at number 8. Obviously, he missed all last year with a serious injury, which was such a shame for him. But people will soon rediscover that he is one of the best safeties in college very quickly. I believe he's fully healthy going into this year. Number 7, you've got Terry Moore out of Duke. He is one of the best coverage safeties in this thing. Full stop. He's another good run defender as well. Like, Duke team's just going under the radar because they had a down year last year, but certainly he will be amongst the best safeties this year. And then we get back to Alabama again, and you have to talk about Alabama safeties because we like Alabama safeties, but Bray Hubbard is the next out of the system. So he's in his due, he'll be a and hang on, he'll be a redshirt sophomore this year. He redshirted his freshman year. He played as a sophomore last year. And again, both facets of the game. His passer rating when targeted, 21.3. One of the best coverage safeties in the game, and versatile as all Alabama safeties are. He plays what Branch did there, really. But again, a lot of these guys all over, they play him in nickel, they play him at free safety, they play him a little bit at strong as well, and another good run defender out that system. So that's your top 6. It's actually 10 through to 6, but then we get into the real good ones here, right, don't we? Number 5, he will be number 1 on this list next year. I guarantee you that. KJ Bolden out of Georgia. Like, they've lost Malachi Starks this year. For me, this guy's better than Malachi Starks, full stop. He was the top defensive recruit in the nation, I think, last year. There was no other defensive. There was him. It's because Georgia got number 1, 2, and 4 last year. This guy was number 1. He started and played the vast majority of the season as the starter at the safety position. He's only 185 pounds at the moment, but he's bulking up this offseason. But KJ Bolden is special, right? You think Malachi Starks is good, this guy's going to be better, and he is another. He can do everything that you want him to, and when he bulks up a little more and just gets a bit more consistent against the run, the world is his oyster as far as I'm concerned. He'll be in the draft in 2 years. He won't see his senior year in college unless he gets injured.
No chance, yeah. Like I say, every bit of the number 1 safety recruit 2024, he had he could have gone anywhere he wanted in the nation. And he would have walked in as a true freshman. And he's had a great guy like Starks to learn from and all the elite defensive backs and coaches. And now, yeah, he just needs to, like I say, 1, put muscle on, 2, refine his game, and 3, yeah, some teams were going to ask it. I'm going to ask him, like I say, especially like I say, how's your run game? We know the coverage is there. We know the special teams and that, like you say, you can probably do that as well. He could probably be an elite return man if he wanted to. He could be trusted with those ball skills. He's got hand-eye coordination, can make plays on the balls. Yeah, it's just going to be, like I say, get tougher, get stronger, get physical, more well-rounded, and he'll be well on his way to being, yep, another first-round draft pick.
Yeah, he will be. He'll be the best defender on that. Talking in 12 months' time about the Georgia defense, KJ Bolden will be the best defender of the lot of them. But yeah, this he starts off a very exciting top five. Next, we've got the Texas free safety Michael Taff, and I don't know about you, I love Michael Taff. This
Yeah,
the Texas defense is
proper
is
veteran.
loaded, but you sit him back in the free safety spot, he's like a minesweeper, as they say. Any danger that he detects, he snuffs out. Like he is that guy, and he will show that again this year.
Oh, this guy might be one of the most physical we're talking about on the list. I see. Doesn't get a ton of turnovers, but the guy is a brutal hammer. You only have to go back last year when he killed an Arizona State player.
Yeah.
The targeting that didn't get called, which was a huge play. But yeah, he plays the game like a 6, 7 year veteran. He's a walk on. He's been here all the time. He's a key special teams man as well. He plays every form of special teams. Like you say, yeah, he is someone like you say just lays the wood. He plays the game the right way, the physical way. Like I say, someone that's in the box as well, letting his IQ comes down, runs all the guys, run throughs guys, and yeah, just forced a lot of incompletions. And yeah, kind of guy that I thought may probably look to getting a draft grade, I imagine, this year, next year. Kind of guy like I said, I'd love to add to our physical secondary. He plays the game the way we do. So yeah, he might be one of, I think he's probably the most important person to the team on the list we've spoken about so far. Because a lot of stuff he mops up on the back end. He does the dirty work. A lot of these guys here do the fancy, pretty interception stuff.
Mm.
He's not about that.
No, absolutely not. But he's one of the best free safeties in the game, and you will see him thrive this year. Although the next guy might be a bit better at free safety, and he struggled last year because he was on a poor ass team who really mismanaged him. But he's going to Oregon this year. I know Paul was absolutely delighted they dragged him out the portal. Dylan Tyneman he's now Oregon. He spent his first 2 years at Purdue, excelled as a true freshman in his first year. He was one of the best safeties in the nation already. There's nothing this guy can't do either. Just you leave him to patrol your backfield, and you don't have to worry about what's going on back there because you know he's going to be there in every single situation. And he just suffered from being on a gash Purdue team last year. There's only so much you can do when there's no talent around you, right? But at Oregon, we would expect him to become one of the best safeties in college football again very, very quickly.
Yeah. Like I say this year, bad, but probably lack of confidence, lack of, like I say, trust in his teammates. Franklin from well declared house, didn't they? Poor coaching. Like I say, he had a crazy breakout freshman year, and then yeah, when he hit the portal, was probably easily one of the biggest names in the portal of the entire season because just you've seen what he's done at such an impact position. And yeah, like I say, I think it's a good fit. I love Dan Lanning, and I think Dan Lanning will love him, and I just want him to see it get back to his best as well.
Mhm. Potential first round pick at the safety position if he carries on, because you figure if he has a good year in Eugene, he's probably going to come to the draft next year. No need for him to stay two
Yeah, he
years.
might strike while it ends hot and just bounce straight to the draft if you have a good year.
Absolutely, he will. And then going up into the top two, um, I'm so glad this guy's at number two because I really like him. So 12 months ago, Minnesota lost a massive piece of their defense. They sent Tyler Nubin to the NFL. He went to the New York Giants, and people thought, are they going to be able to replace him at the safety position there? And not only did they replace him, they found someone who was probably better than what he was. And he was a true freshman last year. It's our favorite player. It's the Koi Carp himself. It's Koi Peric, who, as a true freshman, 5 interceptions last year for him. Only Xavier Watts had more amongst FBS safeties because he had that stupidly high number for Notre Dame. And he was only one of 7 safeties in college football who earned 80 plus grades in coverage and against the run. And not only that, he's a dangerous kick returner as well. This is, again, we talk about safeties who can do it all and can see it all. And it's again another true freshman who has just excelled in year one. You thought that defense would suffer without Tyler Nubin. They've upgraded on him with a true freshman.
Yeah, and he's from Minnesota. He was the number one player in state in the five safety class, and they managed to convince him, despite all the big time offers and all the teams that could get him to the playoff, decide to stay in Minnesota.
And
Big
they've
goal
kept
scorer.
him this
Yeah,
year.
like you say, all those turnovers, nearly 600 return yards. He is just, yeah, like I say, and when you look at him as well, he doesn't look anything special, like I say, because he's got a fairly average build. Like I say, we've talked about some guys, like I say, that are massive, huge frames, loads of weight. The guy is just, yeah, he's an impact player at every kind of phase of the game. Like I say, he's a great run supporter, crazy amount of turnovers, and every time he's got the ball in his hands, it usually looks like he might score a touchdown because he has got crazy speed. Like I say, he has probably, I think in high school as well, I think he played a lot of positions. He's used to carrying the ball a lot, which has actually helped him in the return game. And also when he gets the ball, he's got a good chance of potentially taking it all the way back. So yeah, they've got a serious job on their hands at convincing this kid to play his career in Minnesota and not hit the ball when the NIL money starts pouring in because they will already be blowing up his agent's phone and whispering in his ear.
You've got to figure that if he has another year this year as a sophomore, someone's going to snag him for his junior year, and maybe he would want to as well for his draft stock. You know, if Tyneman lasts 1 year at Oregon, will Oregon offer him this time next year? Hell, will Michigan offer him if Rob Beard, sorry, comes off this year? Who knows with it? But there's no doubt in Coy Perich is an extreme talent, and then number one. Since PFF started doing their list of returning players, only four players have ever topped the list 2 years in a row. Trevor Lawrence, Derek Stingley, Brock Bowers, and number four, Caleb Downs, the outstanding true freshman from Alabama 12 months ago, made what some considered maybe to be a sideways step going into the portal, despite the fact he played all year. Obviously, Nick Saban left. He went to Ohio State. He was the only second year player in that defense. Most of the other starters were year 4 or 5. He was the youngest person by far. He's only 21 years old. And he just went on an absolute tear last year, Ryan. He plays free safety, he plays the slot corner, they put him in the box. He is literally the
Also,
epitome
returner.
and a
Something
returner.
about returners and safeties just that go hand in hand.
There
I
is.
wonder if Dylan Tyneman could be a returner. It won't surprise me.
No, you never know. He could do. Maybe they'll have him do that at Oregon, but there's no doubt in Caleb Downs is maybe the best safety in college football. He's only a junior. He's only 21. He will come to the draft next year, quite possibly, and be safety one in next year's draft. And again, he's just do it all to such a high level. But I think it's the versatility that makes him stand out. Playing him in the box as well, he is unlimited.
Yeah. You don't. Two of the biggest brands in American sports, and he's like I say, he's stepped into both of them as a young man, and he's not looked out of place whatsoever. Like I say, he's done it at two programs, two different sides of the country. Like I say, playing multiple positions to the highest level possible, and yeah, just looking like every bit of like say every bit of experience, like say that he doesn't have. Like say, he's got a wise head and shoulders. Great year this year, straight into the draft. Like I say, easy first round selection, cash your paycheck, and then yeah, what a team wants to do with you at the next level. Then yeah, people be wanting like, can you play corner? Do you want to be safety? Do you want to be a weak side linebacker? Like you say, he'll do it all.
All
And
I
yeah,
can,
and also got a punt return touchdown, I think this year, didn't
he did, yeah.
he? He had a punt return touchdown in both years at college. So yeah, special teams returner.
Mm. I think I can say quite safely the safety group next year will blow this one out the
Top five
water.
are just crazy.
I
Just
don't, yeah,
AJ Bolden up.
yeah, and he's going to be something insane. But the safety class this year looks tremendous. The linebacker class this year looks tremendous. So yeah, those are the groups we did. I say we've done the offense over a few weeks, but we've done all the defense there. So those are the names you need to keep your eye on. Obviously, we will filter out some, diamonds hidden in the rough and all these guys as we go along. But they're some of the higher graded returners just to familiarize yourself with next year's class. Obviously, we're still in the draft cycle this year, but we just want to break it up a bit because draft fatigue is a big thing this year, and we're getting 2 weeks from the draft. It is tiresome talking about the same players we've been talking about for the last year now. So hopefully you all enjoyed that for the rankings for next year. And we're going to finish off this evening with questions and bits like that. So if you have any questions, then just put them in the comments and we will get to them. I've got a few in here already, and we'll talk about draft a little bit now as well. But where were the ones I was looking? So Dan Pask has put it in the chat earlier. I hope you're still listening, Dan, but I hope you're doing well anyhow. He asks about James Pierce. And he goes, is James Pierce Jr. a lion for you guys? Heard a few things about him. Curious for your opinion. Cheers. I mean, it's hard when Eric Schlick comes on here and says he ranks a 0 on his grit index to do him here. But I think we had this discussion maybe the other week that I would be very disappointed if all this stuff is true about him and the stuff that he's gone that he doesn't like to practice, that he skips sessions, stuff like that, that reflects very badly on his head coach, Josh Hoople. I don't think Josh Hoople would tolerate that type of behavior and carry on letting play. And so I think there's, some smoke where there's not a fire here. Do you think Pierce is a Lions player? Do you think the Lions would go for him? Because obviously they have shown some interest. We need an edge rusher. Do you think he is a Lions player?
I'd be pretty surprised if they passed on him at 28. Because it just feels like the moment they pass on him, someone's going to trade up for him straight away and get him at the end of the first round. And it'd be one of those guys where you look back in a couple of years and you think, you don't want it to be, you don't want it to be another Aaron Donald, do you? Where
No.
you took it, you brand. You don't want to look back in a few years and think, oh, we had him, let him go again. Like I said, the athleticism's there, the talent's there, the production's there. If the only question is character and work ethic, then it's impossible to know. That's the thing. There are no red flags really there because we haven't seen any of them. It's behind closed door stuff. Maybe he doesn't do any homework, but that's the kind of thing you've got to take a chance. You have to take a swing on him.
Yeah, and again, it's all about the
I
culture
think we're in
fit
a
and
position where
everything.
we can take a swing on a guy that may change the defense with character concerns. Maybe a
We
top
need
five pick, you're like, oh no, let's go for the surefire thing. But 28, I'm willing to maybe roll the dice a little bit here.
the thing is, on a team of good characters, you can afford a few dickheads. I think that is the rule of thumb that you can do there, and I think we do have to get out of this thing. We
Been
we can't just
multiple years now where players have, that people have said, no, don't draft him,
we
have
can't
gone on
yeah.
to do really well.
And I think it's gone too far in the other way. Like people are just trying to purify them now. Like this is a pure any even slight hint of dissent, people are saying off the Lions board. Look at the Eagles. AJ Brown was throwing a hissy fit, chucking his quarterback under the bus last year, and was not professional all in the slightest. CJ Gardner Johnson loves to mouth off all the time and do it. They just won a Super Bowl.
Carter,
Like if you've got a
all the
hard
trouble
ass,
Carter we got in.
what?
Look at all the trouble Carter got in.
Exactly. You have got a veritable cesspit of players there compared to what the Lions have. And this was in season, AJ Brown was slagging off AJ, off Hurts, sorry. And they still eventually came round to it and did it. I think this goody two shoes thing is only good for you're setting your base culture. You've got your cornerstones in, they will set the culture. You can afford to put in guys who may not fully agree with it because your core guys will soon knock any, you know, dickishness out of them. I feel that's the way anyhow. I think we just close ourselves off to prospects so quickly, and a lot of it's on hearsay as well. Hell, the Lions bought in Maxwell Hairston yesterday. What's Maxwell Hairston been accused of doing in the last few weeks? They're at least trying, aren't they? They're doing their due diligence with him. They're finding out for themselves. Like
Yep.
a
A
lot of
lot of teams
people,
that, like Mike Green.
yeah.
Mike Green, his report, like I say, he's very, like I say, some people think, like say, top 10, top 15 player. They were
Mm,
just willing to overlook any rumor about him whatsoever.
exactly. Despite all the stuff that's been said, rarely drops out the top 20. I don't know. I just think we're going too far in the opposite direction. I get you've got to have good players on your team. You need to make sure the culture fits right and that. But I think, it's the common adage, as they say, water that is too pure has no fish because if you're too goody two shoes, it's poisonous. So, there's got to be a little difference. I think he's got tremendous upside. I would take him over someone like Shamar Stewart any day of the week, and I would not even think twice about it. That is where I'm at. I want the goody two shoes guy who can't do nothing, but he's got the character now. So I could live with it if they do it, and I'd trust Brad if they did it. And I would just love to see the meltdown if they did, because so many people would look stupid. Da, 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 da. Brent goes, didn't a Bears player walk off the field last season during a game? No, oh, hang on, DJ Moore did.
DJ Moore did.
DJ Moore walked off
He didn't
during.
block for the quarterback, did he? He just walked off
No,
the field.
no, like Alan Robinson did a few years ago. Obviously, there was the Tyreek Stevenson one where he walked on the field and had his back to the play. I mean, we're not talking about, we don't have that discipline lapse here. I think our roster can absorb a couple of what you would call bad eggs. As long as they're talented, I don't really care. We've just gone too far in the opposite direction of getting angels. So, hee ho. There was another couple of questions in here, and then I've got a few as well. Brent goes, am I wrong in thinking Shep already has his linebackers? The Lions won't draft one. I think a linebacker's in play, don't you? I think it will be day
I do,
three.
because I think we're going to have to accept Alexander Loney won't be here forever. He might not even be here next year.
See, this is interesting, right? I would pay him now. I think
Done
he's
his last
way
year,
too
isn't he? So
viable. But you're going to have he's underpaid right now. He is going to double his money. Oh, what is he on? About 6.5 million a year, something like that in the minute. He'll be on 10 or 12 next year. Can you afford it? We're going to struggle, but I would pay him. But who knows? Campbell's here. Maybe they'll let the year run out. Malcolm's coming off his ACL. He might not be ready for the season. I think at the very minimum, you'll get a day three linebacker in to push someone with high up. That's where you go for the athletic, high upside guys who may prove you wrong, like Malcolm. You get someone like Malcolm this year. So, yeah, I can see that for sure. In terms of, Brent says, what round? Hell, I'd probably do it 5 or 6. You want it high enough in day three that they could be good, and not so far back that they're just going to be a core special teamer at their best. Start around 5, I think, would be a good place for a linebacker this year. This is a question now from me. I've put this in there because I'm very interested to hear your response. But for you, right, who is the Jahmyr Gibbs player in this year's draft for Brad? And what I mean by that is not a soul in the world. And if someone says they did, they're lying. Mock drafted Jahmyr Gibbs to the Lions in round 1. It took everybody by surprise. Nobody had a Scooby. We were going to draft Gibbs. So who is the player this year in this draft who Brad could just shock us all with, who is just getting no mention with us whatsoever? And I would say make it a round 1 pick, because you do it into day 3 and it's easier to cheat. And all of you in the comments can answer this one as well if you think. But who is the Jahmyr Gibbs player in the draft this year for Brad who he could shock us all with, and we will be blindsided by it and not see it coming? I think it's intriguing.
I think it's probably someone like Ted McMillan. I think if he's somewhere like at 28, I don't think it's. I don't look at it as a team. I don't look at it as a guy if he's in it there they'd have any interest in. But then I look at him like say what the team has been lacking in recent years. I don't know. Obviously, you bring back Patrick, but still, you've got questions like say they're obviously not planning on paying Jameson Williams anytime soon. Maybe not at all. Maybe he's allowed to go. So maybe you go and get one of the best receivers in college.
Ooh,
Would I
that's
like it? I don't know, but it would reap rewards pretty quickly as a rookie.
mm,
I think it would definitely cause a lot of shock to the
yeah,
receiver in the first round.
yeah. Ooh. I would say if it's gonna be me, and I think there's someone he might shock us with, if he falls just far enough, because we need an explosive playmaker and we like guys in his mold. I think if Jalen Walker falls, he might go up and get him. I know we've got Barnes there as well in that sort of role, but I think for what he is, the explosion he has, and he can play on the edge as well. I know he doesn't fit our prototypical mold, but there's just something in the back of my head about him that I would really like here on the Lions. And it would be tremendous value as well, but I think it's if he falls. So you got a receiver there. Like, Christ, that would generate some that the world would burn, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't think the reaction would be
With a
good.
receiver.
I
I
was
just thought it was
there as well
interesting.
that said, like, say that he hates watching football. As a freshman, said he hates watching football and doesn't do much studying, which for me don't bother me. Said it's a freshman. I don't care about it when he said it then. I also don't care about it now. I don't care if the
Eh.
player hates football.
Hmm. Hey, the Man of Steel's in the building. Hope you are doing well, Kurt. Good to see you in as always. He goes, Devondre Campbell walked off the 49ers. DJ Moore walked off mid-play for the Bears. Yeah, these teams are still good. Let's stop drafting Angels just because they're Angels. If they're good players and there's a bit to them, don't put it off them. Now, Brent's got the real interesting one here. Mason Graham, if he starts to slip, I that would make me a
There'll
little
be a
bit
point where you
excited.
go trade up and get him, yeah.
How far do you think he'd have to fall for Brad to pull that off? Do you reckon 10 or you reckon higher? I don't I can't see him getting past Jacksonville like
See, I don't
at
see him get.
all.
I
Ja
was putting him at New England. I don't see
yeah,
him getting out of the top 10.
Jacksonville have a glaring hole at defensive tackle. So unless someone's trading up for Shadur or someone like that,
Right, so are
I
you willing to
can't
part with your
see it
2026 first round pick to do
for
it? Because
Mason Graham.
it's going to take it, innit? Or do
He's
you just wait for Kenneth Grant 10, 15 picks later and trade up a little bit, go get him?
I mean Kenneth has been mock tours. I guess the question is who's he going to shock us with? I mean, Mason Graham is on no Lions draft boards whatsoever because he's too high, right? Kenneth Grant's all over. Some mock had him at 60 the other way. I'm just like, there's no way. There's no way Kenneth Grant falls out the first round. But Mason Graham could be one.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
smiling thinking about that. So I would
love
actually
Nicky Man. I
approve of
love
it.
Nicky Man Warren.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd
The
absolutely love it.
safety.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That would probably turn a few heads. Not that he's not, because he's not, well, he's a top 20 player. It's just probably you look at the need and it's probably not a need we need.
I mean, because you're going to pay Kirby and Branch, right? So
Exactly. Yeah.
to pay and first round
Are you
picks get well
prepared for,
paid.
like, say, if you pay Gibbs, like say you pay someone else, like you say, Branch would feel like a goner. He's got to go. I'm just going to tag him.
I couldn't. Brian Branch has got to be a Lion for life after the double bird at Lambeau. There's no way Brian Branch can play on another team in his lifetime now. He is too good.
I'm already thinking
Carl,
about the guys that in a year or two we'll have to let go.
so Carlton brings another one into the equation here, and this is interesting because this got floated by the clickbait artist the other day online that there's someone we could potentially trade in this draft to get much higher if
Sam
we really
Laporte.
wanted to go. And Carlton saying just an out here shock, Colston Loveland to replace Laporta
Now that would
rather
be a
than pay
horrible decision.
him because for Colston Loveland, depending on what the Jets do, because the second like the Colts are going to take a tight end at 14, and then your next pressure point is the Broncos after that, unless the Jets take one, and then Indianapolis is your pressure point at 15, and you've got to get in front of them. You're giving up a lot, and I don't know what Sam Laporta. I mean, you would think to get rid of him. What are the big tight end? It doesn't feel like there's many big tight end trades out there, but you've got to be looking at a first and more for him. Would someone pay that? And would you take it?
If I'm trading up and I'm using Sam Laporte to go the other way, it's not to take another tight end.
It just
I'm
does
going
feel
back
a
to the
bit.
elite defensive talent. I feel like because they know we probably can't afford to pay him, we probably can't get a first from him. You
Mm,
probably get back the second, and then I think about like, what's the point?
I think cost that would be a bitter pill for people to swallow.
I have
Like that would be.
10, 20% of me has already accepted that Sam Laporta will not get a second contract.
I think if you're gonna have people miss out,
Yeah.
Laporta, I don't want to lose JMO, so no, I think Laporta's up there.
I think Laporta, Jameson, Williams, yeah, I think one of them, if not both of them, may be the guys that are sacrificed.
What the odds on a day two tight end then?
I'm strong on it.
If Mason
I love
Taylor's
Mason
there,
Taylor.
I know you love Mason
I'm already
Taylor.
prepared for the life after Laporta.
It's yeah.
But he's going to cost you 60.
Would Brad do it though? I think that's the question. Who's the Brad? I think Brad would do Mason Graham. I don't know if Brad would do Colston Loveland. Would he do Will Johnson if Will Johnson slips? Would he do a corner? I feel.
Don't know. It
I think a
should.
corner might shock us,
I think it's
but
shockers like I say because it wouldn't be a great message to the kids we've just got.
no, but they're one like your sins 1 year, and you know it.
Mm.
But it's value, right? He doesn't care about position. He cares about value. Maybe
I mean,
Will
you drafted
Campbell
Will
could.
Johnson, like
Will Johnson, yeah. In this team, like he's insane.
yeah, and he's that.
Will Johnson and Terry and Arnold as your corners going forward
I mean, you put
with
DJ Reed
Rakes,
in now, but like you say, I'm guessing
yeah,
you rotate Will Johnson and Terry and
DJ
Arnold.
Reed, Rakestraw. Like my God, how good that unit would be! Like it would be a complete aberration because you'd have to give up capital to get him, and there's no
I feel
D
like
line
yeah,
help.
I feel like a
But
cornerback. I feel like if I can see Detroit trading out of the first round if they're
oh,
not
I
taking
can't,
what they
man.
got. And then at the end of the start of the second round, like maybe I think, like say Siobhan Ravel Jr., I feel like maybe that might be a really high value corner pick. Because obviously with the torn ACL, you don't have to play him as a rookie.
All right, theoretical here. Trade up to 23 in front of Green Bay to get someone like Izzy Ruako or that, or go back to 32 and take Nick Skoughton, or 33 and take Nick
Trade back.
Skoughton.
Yeah.
I think if you could guarantee me Nick Skoughton at 33 or 34, that's the only acceptable thing
Yeah.
I'd
Because
trade back
he offers
for.
value as a rookie, as a run defender,
Hmm.
even if not as a pass
And
rusher.
I've still got my primo edge rusher, and I've got some more picks for the draft. I think that would be the
If
only
you move back five
acceptable.
spots, I want, like I said, pick in the 50s or 60s. I then take Mason Taylor.
It's
You get an elite tight end, you get a well-rounded pass rusher, and if it's not cost you anything,
this draft could go so many ways.
you take Wyatt Millum with the other, like say, pick in the 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
You
White
get
Mill and Mason
guard, you
Taylor,
do a guard,
or a tackle there
get
potentially.
that, get your O line.
Carlton goes. Think Eric pointed out Yassin has no guaranteed money. Ah, there you go. That might be that gives you an option
Yeah,
then. That gives you an option. So if there is a corner available to you and you want to take him and get rid of Yasin, fine.
yeah. There's
If
no
not, you
to
play
make a
Yasin.
team. Yeah,
That feels like a move that's done to create, flexibility in the draft then. So who knows? But yeah, I thought it was an interesting discussion to have. So, well, so you think it might be Tet is the one he could blindside us with? I think it might be Jalen Walker, but the real out there one is Mason Graham. If Mason Graham slips to 10, I'm thinking about it. But I won't give the picks to Chicago. I wait till 11. Whoever's at 11. Who's at 11? The 49ers. Oh, see, I don't want to trade with an NFC rival. I just want some random obscure AFC West team or something that we could do it with. Um, and then it's the Cowboys. I don't want to do it with the Cowboys either. Anywho, we'll see.
yeah. I don't care about the Cow. We're not making the Cowboys better.
Yeah. Carlton goes, Maddox is fully guaranteed. Dorsey got a 2 year deal. Dorsey's a special teamer and maybe he's bottom of the depth chart. It doesn't matter.
And coming off a broken ankle, yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy who will probably, someone higher up will get chopped if they get someone there. He's the one who will always survive at the bottom of the depth charts of his special teams stuff. Like they'll let your Sin and guys like that go before him, although Maddox will probably stay for a bit. Other questions we had. Again, if you've got any other questions, just whack them in there. I think I've got one left here. And then we're going to get out of here. This is actually, we're going to go back to college football a minute, and Ash asked it us, so we need to give him a good answer for this. But Ash asks, college-wise, could the influx of FCS sides moving up to the FBS help the Power Four sides' potential argument to split away from the NCAA as the product is being watered down? I don't know. Is the growth of the group of five gonna encourage the power four to run away? I, my answer to this, and I think this should be done. I think the influx of FCS teams is making the group of five stronger. We've seen like Jacksonville State come up, they're doing really well. You know, James Madison were up recently, they've made it better. Liberty have made it better. Kennesaw State were looking better, last year. I think it's making it stronger. I would like to see separate playoffs. I want to see group of five playoffs and Power Four playoffs. I think just chucking a group of five team into the playoffs is a bit nonsensical. They're just going to get battered for the vast majority of the time. I think rather than splitting them, I would just split the playoffs and let the group of five do their own thing and let the Power Four do their own thing. What about you?
I think the influx of FCS teams is showing me that they need to seriously sort some realignment in the G4. Like I say, I think they need to, with a lot of teams rapidly coming up, they need to get their act together. Like you say, who's taking them where and that, so we don't get too many lopsided. But I agree with you. Yeah, I feel like it's just it's a throwaway. Like I say, the G5 into the playoffs. It's a nice story on paper and it looks good. But when's it going to warrant it? When's it ever going to really result in a huge upset?
Exactly.
Feels unlikely.
Exactly. And like Boise had home advantage over Penn State last year and still were not able
It
to
was a
get it done
bloodbath.
in it and it showed as well. But obviously you've got the Power Five will be back soon because the is the Pac getting power conference status? I'm not sure it is, but the Pac's gonna be back soon. I think the Power Four have diluted it themselves by becoming such big conferences. Back having a Power Five was great because it spread the teams out, it spread the competition out,
You
and
take the
made it
best of the
better.
G4, so this
Exactly.
rivals the P5, and you need to make another Power 5 conference, whether
I
it's
think it,
new or something, you need to.
yeah. I don't think there needs to be a breakaway. The group of five's done nothing wrong. I think the group of five's thriving. The Sun Belt's been really good recently. The Mountain West's been really good recently. The American had a three-way guy last year. It was really good. I think the only one that's the MAC's been bad. Something needs to be done with the MAC because the MAC is getting rinsed of talent. Like every year they're just losing like the best 50, 100 players in the conference and they're going on and having wildly successful careers. They can't retain players. The other conferences don't seem to be as bad, but outside of that, I think the group of five should get their own playoffs, though. I think because that gives them something to strive for then. I don't know how many teams you put in it, but instead of having five winners at the end of the year, teams below that will have meaningful games and potentially go and win it. And your group of five prospects have a bigger platform. You get it on TV, get a good TV deal for it. People will watch it.
Yeah. Like I say, even if you keep the playoff spot for the G5, everyone else, like I say, goes into a trophy. You take the two best teams remaining from the playoff team, yeah, throw them all into a mini tournament, scrap the ball games,
Hmm.
let them play for a trophy.
Yeah, I would do that. Obviously, do bowl games for the lesser teams. They can go and do whatever, and you can match them up against the teams that don't make the playoffs in the Power Four. But I think it's time for a group of five playoffs, and I would like to see it. 'Cause the FCS playoffs work well. Do it that sort of format. Gives them something to play for and gives talent a chance to stand out. So no, I don't think the Power Four should break away from it. I think they should just they've diluted the product themselves. You can have an easy schedule in a power conference now. If you time it right, you'll just play all the bad teams and that's what waters it down. Or go back to divisions, do divisions, and make the divisions competitive. That's how I would do that there. But I appreciate the question from you anyhow, Ash. Uh, would I draft who? Shamar Stewart? No. No, I
At
would not.
60.
Not 60, I think at 28. Oh no, you'd have to go up and get him because he gets mocked to Carolina at 9.
Yeah. Problem is, like you say, yeah, with these crazy freak athletes, they're it's just pure boom or bust.
So I will give you the example. Last year, everyone was going on about Darius Robinson, the freaky athletic edge rusher out of Missouri, who he was I think he's Detroit born as well, and everyone was
Yeah.
going, Brad should pick him, we need an edge, etc. So the Cardinals got Josh Sweat in free agency this year. They've got Darius Robinson going into his second year this year at the edge. Do you know what their biggest consensus need on draft boards is this year, pretty much all over? An edge rusher. Why? You've got a Super Bowl winner who you've just paid a big ass contract to, and you've got a round one pick from next year, from last year. Why do you need another edge on your team? Why do you need a third good one? If he was good, they wouldn't need to do that. And this year with Shamar, and I've been arguing with Easy, Easy loves him, and we've been arguing a lot about this. And people, he says, don't watch the stats, watch the tape. Easy, I watch his tape. I've watched a lot of his tape. Not only can he not get to the quarterback, he can't tackle, hence his nearly 30% missed tackle rate over his career. The fundamentals and the techniques are all flawed. They're off. He misses so many sacks just because there's no pass rush plan, and he uses athleticism. He just blows past guys all the time. There's no discipline, no lane discipline, no gap discipline, no nothing from him. He is just an athletic freak who's got the body size that the Lions covet. So did Darius Robinson. Brad went nowhere near him. They probably got him in this year just to finish the evaluation about him and see what's going on. But I sure as hell am not trading up to get him. I wouldn't pick him if he was there at 28. I would take Nick Skoughton first. I would take Azir Waku first. I'd take Walter Nolan first. Walter Nolan's a better edge, and he's a defensive tackle. That's just me. I've watched his tape, and it's not impressive. People just get seduced by athleticism, but thankfully Brad doesn't. Brent goes, transfer portal, NIL, conferences are meaningless now. I don't think so. The portal can be fixed by having one portal a year. NIL can be fixed by being regulated. The conferences can be fixed by realigning them properly and stop creating super. There's very simple answers to all these, and hopefully one day the NCAA will listen and they will make it a lot simpler.
Yeah, it just needs regulation.
Mm, it
And
does.
yeah, get rid of spring. Yeah, get rid of spring portal.
Yeah, again, I've made it, you do the winter portal after the season. Obviously, if your coach leaves, you get the 20-day window or whatever it is. I can understand that. That's fine. When it gets to spring, you have a 10-day period like they do now, and you can only go in the portal if it's a family emerge. If you can give a personal
Yeah,
reason,
you have to submit a waiver.
yeah, if you submit a waiver, you have a personal reason, or your head coach says to you, sorry, you're seventh on the depth chart, you're not going to get no playing time here, and he can transfer list him, like football managers do. If a head coach transfer lists a player or he gets a waiver, then he can move in spring. They're the only reasons why. Teams should not be able to just poach starters in spring. That solves your portal problem instantly. It's a very easy fix. Same with NIL. Regulate it. You know, put some proper rules in about sponsorships, about how much you can spend, whether it's total revenue share, a percentage of it, like financial fair play is here, although I guess that can get exploited. You can fix that. And the conferences can be fixed as well. When the pack comes back, should get a little easier, I hope. So we'll see. But don't give up on it just yet. Don't give up on it just yet. There are available out there. Yes, Anthony wants the NCAA to think logically. Yes, I know, woe betide me, Brent, but you know, you've got to pray. You've got to try, right? At least put them out there. Right, I think. Anything else you want to mention whilst we're here? Any other collegey bits, draft bits, any final thoughts?
No, I'm just ready.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm all
I'm
prepared.
ready. It's mock draft season now. It is Lions draft, then the first round mock draft, the first round mock. I just do you do you have a handle on it this year? I spent 7 hours the other day trying to do my first round mock draft, and I got to pick 11, and I screwed it up and threw it in the bin. Just don't know. If you finding it any easier, I feel like this is the most unpredictable draft in a very long time because no one knows what's going on at two. If the Browns just made a decision, it would be easier, but because they're not, nothing else is falling into place for me.
No, yeah, it's going to be a domino effect. It's all going to start with QBs, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, and then it kind of rest will flow from there.
And that's the problem. Like, Cam Ward goes first, and Cam Ward deserves to go first. After that, what do the Browns do? Do they take Travis Hunter? If they take Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter falls to the Giants, I feel like that then becomes a tradable pick for the Giants because they don't need Abdul Carter, not with Thibodeau and in Brian Burns and people. I feel like you can trade it, and then number four becomes available because Shadur's there if someone wants to trade. This is where I'm struggling until the Browns decide what they're going to do. Do you reckon Travis goes too quickly? Like, I'm not believing the smoke with this right now. I think you look at it and you're like, yeah.
I could see it. I think it. I think it'd be a spark that they want to bring to the franchise.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
feels like a team that's happy to just bide its time with a terrible QB situation.
yeah. Yeah, this is just, it's going to go wrong. I'm just going to go crazy in my mock this year. I'm going to have trades galore and let's see if any of them hit. Bro, just to quickly end this one, because it's Brent and we love his questions and that. He goes, projection for TJ Metcalf. I'm guessing for next year's draft. I mean, number one is his, unless Arch declares. I don't see Arch declaring next year
Should
because
not
he'll only
declare.
be starter for. Arch should have 2 years. He should wait till he's a senior. I think his projection is potentially number one. It's either going to be him or Peter Woods. I don't know. Do you think it might be a bit lower? I think his ceiling is the number one pick. I think at worst, he's top 10 as a, I think that's as a floor.
Yeah, I'd say that's the flaw. Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be the QB situation. Like I say, Arch Manning, some like Garrett Nussmeier, K Klubnik. Like I said, those guys are going to they'll murky the waters. Like I say, they will be in and around the top 10 mix. It could be, or someone takes a massive reach.
Mhm.
But
I
yeah,
think
whatever Arch does this year, unless it's absolutely groundbreaking, I just don't think it's enough.
no. He's so the mock I saw him in, he went number two to the Titans. Interestingly, the tackle Francis Mauigoa was number one. I don't think that would be true, but I mean potentially. But he was at number two in this mock I saw. Klubnik was three, and hell, Peter Woods could be number four. So you might get a trifecta, a two, three, and a four, or a one, two, and a three from Clemson this year. But yeah, his ceiling is very high. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him this year. Right. Any last quick questions? Get them in. Just going to go through the next schedules and everything. So the next main Detroit Lions podcast here on Roar of the Lions UK will be on Monday, and we are starting mock draft season. I'll say we're doing that. Our official one. It's our official Detroit Lions mock draft next week. So what we think the Lions are going to do. So Tom, come join us for that one. Going to be really intriguing to see what we all think. And then, as we say, this is it for the college football podcast for this year. Now we will be away for the next 5 or 6 weeks, depending on where we're at. Obviously, we take our break, enjoy the draft, enjoy a bit of downtime after, but we will be back as always for conference preview season in about 5 or 6 weeks' time. So we appreciate all of you who've rode with us this year for the fourth year in a row. Hopefully your knowledge of the draft this year was improved a little bit by listening to us over the course of the season. Even if it's just a tiny bit, we did our jobs correctly. So, yeah, we will be back for season five, which is absolutely crazy. And we shall let you know close to the time when that is going to happen. Obviously, Roar of the Lions UK, you can find us all over the internet. Just type us in, find us, and yeah, interact with us in any which way. Don't forget to like and subscribe to everything. Check out the draft prospect tapes that we've got up at the moment. We'll put some more up soon. Brent, I will put your one up for Elijah Roberts in the next couple of days, so don't worry about that. That is on the way. And yeah, just yeah, appreciate you all for hanging with us. Hope mile marker is all right. As Brent said, he's been caught up in those ice storms, so hope to hear from you soon, mile marker. Um, Brent just goes very quickly, still sticking to your claim of Clemson having the best edge duo. Yes, 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 we are. They will be a formidable unit next year. In fact, we can't get out of here until I tell Matt that we're done. So we'll stand here and chat a little bit just while I just quickly let him know that I am there, unless he's already here. Yeah, he's here. All right. I think we're done. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Colton. Thank you, everyone who's been in the chat this evening. This is your Roar of the Lions UK College Football Podcast. This is the end of season four. we shall see you very soon for the start of season 5 and a look at the 2026 NFL draft. Until then, just remains me to thank Ryan, to thank Hank as well, and yeah, we shall see you all again soon. One Pride.
Recording stopped.